And now, introducing his jeans are pleat. Once was heavy. He'll vomit if you call him Glenny. It's not funny. He's Tervis, but on the surface he still swears he's Yeti. He'll take calls and he'll get real heady. He is Glenn Clark.
I'm not sure if any of it made sense, but I liked it. I was in. I was there for the ride. I'll give you that much. Good morning. It's Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He is Paul Valley. This is a Thursday edition of the program. Coming up in just a few minutes, we're going to talk some Terps and college hoops. Steve Lappas from CBS Sports, former Villanova coach. We'll check in with him, get his thoughts on the quality of the Maryland job. Also later on this morning, Chig Okonkwo, former Maryland tight end, just out at the East-West Shrine Bowl last week, and officially, as of yesterday, although he had made it public beforehand, officially he is headed to the NFL Combine in Indianapolis, as is former Terp Nick Cross. So we're going to catch up with Chig Okonkwo, one of our favorites. We've always enjoyed our conversations with him. And also this morning we will make our final picks of the season. I say a lot's at stake. It's not really. It's a very small amount of money that's at stake for these picks. Very, very small amount of money that we're playing for here. It's myself and Kyle Ottenheimer. We are tied coming into this week. So we'll make the way it'll work is and by the way, remember yesterday when I said I think I'd finally settled on a pick? Yeah, that was completely incorrect. I have spent the last 24 hours going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth about who it is that I'm going to pick in this game. And honest to God, there is completely a chance. We're making picks around 11. I might change my mind a couple times before then. I have no idea what I'm doing here. None.
What happens if you and Kyle pick the same team? Is there a tiebreaker?
Yeah. Did he send points? Yeah, that's the way it's supposed to work. If we finish tied, we go to points next. Now, in the past, what we've done, if a person was trailing, we allowed the other person to set the number. Because we're both tied, we're both just going to pick numbers. You got a number?
He did send points.
All right, you got it's a total point number. So we'll both just pick a total point number. If we both somehow pick the same total point number, the same winner and the same total point number, I have no idea what we do then. I guess we dance, I think is the way it goes. I think we have a dance-off contest, and that's the way that we determine a winner. I have no clue as to what our backup plan to our backup plan would be. So we'll figure that out if we need to. Hopefully we don't pick the same point. I mean, it seems very unlikely that we pick the same. I don't even know if we're going to pick the same winner because I legitimately don't know who I'm going to pick as the winner going into this. No clue who I'm picking as my winner in this game, but we will cross that bridge when we get there.
I will tell you that Stetka, when he emailed me back his pick, made fun of the way I said Bengals.
Well, I mean, in fairness, that time you said it right, by the way.
Bengals.
Bengals, yes.
Bengals.
You've got it. You got it right.
Bengals. Bengals.
Bengals.
Bengals. Not Bengals.
Not Bengals. Bengals. How do you say Jaguars?
I was going to ask you that the other day.
How do you say it?
I can't wrap my brain around Jaguars.
And you don't have to say Jaguars. That's the car company. It's Jaguars.
So
it's not Jaguars.
I always called them Jaguars. Now I just call them the Jags to avoid it completely.
Okay. Fair enough.
Because I hate it. It's a weird name.
Anyway, KZ is going to join us around 11, and yes, we will make our final picks of the season with a little bit of cash at stake. Obviously, the real competition is for the loser, and so that's done. That's irrelevant because we know that Andrew Stetka is the loser and is going to have to fly across the country to come in studio one day. I can't wait for that, as he's going to have to get his back shaved while he eats a tarantula and sings Hero from Spider-Man. Oh, man, I don't know what's going on there. That's not great. Steck is out at the golf tournament today in Phoenix. He apparently was unaware. This is the golf tournament I've been to a few times. It is the Preakness. It is just drunks everywhere. This is the Phoenix Open is famous for this. It is as much a golf tournament as it is a wild party. I mean, it's just an insane party where they happen to pop up a golf tournament and say, go ahead and hit some balls. The people out there plan their year around this stupid golf tournament that like Tiger Woods hasn't played in 25 years, I don't think, and it still out there mattered. It didn't matter who was playing in it because, again, the golf was irrelevant. The point was the party. And I was watching his tweets this morning, and he clearly did not know what he was getting himself into. He just wanted to go to a golf tournament because he likes golf, I guess. Weirdos that like golf.
Such a great sport.
It is not.
Your worst day on the golf course is still better than your best day at the office.
You understand that, like, that there's anything. There's a never-ending list of things that are better than being at work. Do you understand how silly that? When I've ever heard somebody say that over the years, like, I'm telling you, it still beats being at the office. Yeah, you know what else does? Going to the pool. You know what else does? Doing anything that isn't work.
How about going to a Jaguars game?
Yeah, you can go to a Jaguars game, sure, if you'd like. Everything. It's such a dumb thing that people say because we've just accepted it over the years. Like,
you're dumb.
It's what golf people say as if they're saying something super smart about their. I feel like we're a little overmodulated today. I think we need to bring a few. I don't know. It just doesn't look great. But like golf people always say that. No one else says that. No one else says I'm skipping out on work today so I can go ballroom dancing because a bad day of ballroom dancing beats the best day at the office. Like,
I have been known to break a club or two while golfing.
Well, if you're into golf, you're gonna enjoy being at the golf course. I get that. I'm not, and again, as I've said a million times, I don't kink shame. Whatever you're into, that's what you're into. Be into golf. It's God bless.
Today will be a good day to be on the golf course.
Yeah, it's actually nice. It's supposed to be really warm this weekend. Go play some golf if that's what you're into, man. Go do it. God bless. I am for whatever makes people happy. It's just not. It will never, ever, ever, ever be for me.
I just got some new irons. I'm pretty excited about it.
I mean, I cannot imagine that. I just you and I, like, I couldn't fathom being excited about being given some golf clubs. I could never. Fathom
I
that.
purchased them.
Whatever it is, purchasing some golf. I don't know if I can. This is a straight shoot. So oh man, I don't know if he whatever. If he gets mad at me, he'll get mad at me. It's fine. So a lot of you know that I've been good friends with Kevin Van Valkenburg over the years, who's now at ESPN the magazine. Used to be I guess it's not ESPN the magazine anymore. It's just ESPN. Used to be at the Baltimore Sun. And Kevin, years ago, when he used to sort of come in studio a lot, and when we were doing weekly segments that would go on for like an hour and a half, Kevin called me one day and he said, "Hey, you're going to be part of a scheme." And I was like, "What?" He said, "Yeah, you're going to be part of a scheme." I said, "Okay." He said, "I'm shipping stuff to your studio." I said, "All right." He said, "It's going to be under your name. So it'll be sent to you. I just need you to hold it for me." I was like, "Is this like a money laundering bit? Like, what are we doing exactly?" I came to find out it was golf clubs, and he didn't want his then wife to know that he was purchasing golf clubs. And so he was having them sent in my name to the studio, and then I was giving him golf clubs. Like, it was like a gift.
It is a pretty expensive purchase.
Like, I don't know why I mean, we were friends, but I don't think that I was, like, the type of friend that would just be buying someone golf clubs. But that was the way it was working, was he was shipping golf clubs to the old radio station that doesn't exist anymore, and then I was giving them to him as a gift. And if I was ever to be asked by then Mrs. Van Valkenburg, I was to say, yes, I got my friend Kevin a nice gift. That was the reason.
Spent $1,200 on my friend Kevin for no reason.
So funny. It was so funny, man. I love KVV. All right. Anyway, yeah. So that's coming up on the program today, and God bless all you that love golf. It's just never going to be for me. I've tried a billion times. There will never be a day that it will be for me. But I get it. There's plenty of things that I'm into that you're not. I was trying to think of, there was something I was watching last night. No, I watched. I gotta be honest with you, man. Some of these Olympic sports, I'm not really sure what they like. They were doing a snowboarding bit last night, but it was like half jumps and then half just sort of. I was like, what is this? I feel like we're going well out of our way to try to create new sports every year when it's just like. How is this any different than just snowboarding? Again, this is me. I don't ski. I don't snowboard. I don't do any of those things. We don't live in a winter sports area. So, maybe they are such vastly different disciplines. There was one the other day, I swear to God, that I was watching where it was like a combination of style and speed. It was like determining the winner somehow had something to do with both your final time as well as how much people like the jumps you were doing. And I said, what is this? How is this a sport? I don't get it. It's the same thing I've said all the time. Anything that involves judging, I'm out. I'm just out. Judging sports aren't sports. You can't tell me. I watch all these guys do the big air jumps, and I'm like, they're all amazing. You trying to sell me that one is more amazing than the other one's nonsense. Nonsense. I know the American guy won the figure skating last night. Nathan Chen, I believe is his name. God bless, right? And like, Papa bless. Wonderful. Go USA. I immediately, all I see on Twitter is a bunch of people saying, you can't convince me that his skate was better than this other guy's skate. They were both amazing. This is why judging sports will just never be my jam, man. I can't do it. You cannot sell me on how this one is definitely better than the other one. And somebody says, oh, it's because you're not an expert. You don't see all the distance that I'm like, shut up. Stop it.
You don't like the slam dunk contest either, do you?
The slam dunk contest has been stupid for a very long time. It was the type of thing that was cool to see when you were a kid, and then you like realized after that it's nothing. I mean, it's just an exercise they do for the sake of doing it.
Especially when you get 6 attempts at the same dunk, and then they give you a 10 for it.
Oh, if you, I don't. Sure, I got to be honest. I can't tell you the last time I watched the slam dunk contest. I really can't, and I'm not. I don't know what it. If somebody said to me, if we had a team, because like people forget, I'm a massive Suns fan, right? And if there was a Suns player in the dunk contest, I wouldn't watch it. It would be uninteresting to me. For the most part, I tune into the home run derby only for two reasons. One, because I realize there's just absolutely nothing else going on, right? And like there's just not. It's a time of the year where there's very rarely even new shows that come out that are worth watching. I just saw, what are we getting back? Oh, Mrs. Maisel is coming back in the next week, and I like that. It's a very good show. Chad, I saw all the advertising on Turner for Chad coming back. I like that show a great bit. But in the summer, there's just not even that many shows. It's not even like there's a good non-sports option to watch the night of the home run derby. So at some point, you might watch it. And I've also said one of the things I do enjoy about the home run derby is, and I wish they would just let everybody use aluminum bats and or cork their bats or whatever it is, because it's the reason why you might tune in to watch that softball thing that they do in Major League Baseball stadiums, because it's the sheer magnitude of the holy crap, I can't believe a human being can hit a baseball that far, right? Like, it's insane. But the actual competition part of it, do not give a single F. Could not possibly care who wins, who loses, because it does not matter. In fact, some of the most memorable things that have ever happened in a home run derby have been the people that didn't win. It's just they put on some sort of show that was incredible. Remembering who won a home run derby is nonsense. It's not a thing. It's this silly exhibition that's fun and cute to look at. It's just not an actual competition. So watching the competition itself, no chance. And it's the way that I feel about all of these skills competitions. Like, they might be pleasant to look at, maybe, but there's probably something else that's on TV at that time. And if I happen to come across it at 6 a.m. on a Saturday morning while I'm up hacking my lungs out or something like that, maybe I'll watch it at that point. But other than that, there's got to be something better on for me to watch. And then the night of the NBA's skills competitions, there's college basketball games being played at the same time. There's other things going on that are real legitimate sporting competitions that I want to watch. It's the thing I struggle with all the time with the Olympics. I just don't think I realized how many of the winter sports were judging sports. I just don't think I realized that. Like between ski jumping and snowboard jumping and all of these damnedest things, like I don't think I realized how much of it involved judging somehow, some way. And I'm out, man. The moment it gets to judging, I'm out. I actually don't love. I like watching. Like, I watched the downhill the other night. That was dope because like people were legitimately like it was like every third person was crashing. Like, it's really hard to do the downhill. The downhill is very difficult. It is an arduous, insane terrain that they're skiing down. It was pretty incredible to watch. But I also realized I don't love you got to watch each person do it instead of having like one race for everybody. That's what makes the Summer Olympics so good. It's swimming, it's track and field. You're watching all of them go at the same time, and one person's going to win in the end. You got to watch every single effing person ski down this hill, and they let like 30 of them do it, and they essentially say after like the first 18, none of the rest of these guys could win. But, like, you can't announce the winner because you still have to let them ski in case one of them has, like, the ski of their life. Mm-hmm. But you're just openly saying, yeah, this guy's won. We just can't tell you that he's won yet. It's so effing awkward. Like, it's so uncomfortable as a television sport that even, like, the cool ones, and the downhill was really cool, doesn't end up being all that good of a viewing experience, man. I'm trying. I am desperately trying.
I think the majority of people around the world feel the way that you do because ratings are super in the
Well,
crapper.
it doesn't help that they're on the other side of the planet, right?
Yeah.
Like, if the Olympics were going on in Toronto, I'm just going to guess that the ratings would probably be much better because the events would be happening during the day and they could position them for the big ones to be happening in American primetime. I don't know what the ratings for the Olympics are and the Winter Olympics are in Europe right now. I don't know what they are in Asia. It's also awkward because there's been like back-to-back Winter Olympics in Asia, so there wasn't a lot of momentum. Like in the 2018 Olympics, they weren't on at a time where like kids could fall in love with these athletes or fall in love with these sports and then care about them and be ready again for 2022. So there's a lot of things that are hurting them when it comes to this. And sure, like the fact that it's China and, we don't exactly care for China a great deal at the moment. Like, that can't help either in terms of Olympics ratings. And there haven't been as many like puff pieces that are being done about the home country because, why would we be doing that in relation to China at the moment? So I don't know. All of it's I keep trying. Again, I'll be watching the women's hockey. The women's hockey has been by far the best thing of the Olympics, which I expected it to be. I think I would normally be watching more curling, but they put all the curling on CNBC. And this is just a weird bit. I don't remember what channel number CNBC is on my TV, so I forget like where to go to find the curling, and I just end up not watching the curling, which is a bummer because I really like curling. Like, I actually I enjoy it. I think it comes off well on TV, and you find yourself fascinated by it. But they've put all of it, like none of it is on USA, none of it is on NBC, and those are the two channels that like I know where they are on my television, so I remember to click the button. Very old man in that way. I just realized it's a very old man thing to say. Like, I don't know where CNBC is, and it's a step too far for me to pull my phone out and say, what channel is CNBC in order to go find it? It's an old man
I'm finding
thing.
myself a lot more like that with a lot of things, like specifically technology. I didn't get a new phone for 3 years because I didn't feel like dealing with it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that way about plenty of things related to technology, 100%. I mean, I think a lot of us are we like find out there's an update available for something, and we're like, we're gonna pass. We're gonna pass on that update because you're gonna screw up the things that I'm comfortable with, so I'm gonna pass on all that. But I 100% have felt that way watching the Olympics. I feel like there was something I actually wanted to talk about this morning, and it wasn't just me ranting about the Olympics. I feel like there was an actual subject that I had.
Alvin Kamara.
No, I don't really. I mean, like a lot of people are up in arms about the fact that the NFL let him play in the game. It would require me to care about the Pro Bowl to be worked up about this.
Fair
like,
enough.
if it was a real game, I don't know. It'd be really shameful. I guess somebody would say it makes it all the more embarrassing that the NFL allowed him to participate in a nonsense game. It ain't a good look. There's no getting around that. It ain't a good look. I watched a little bit of Roger Goodell's press conference. The people in Boston are trying to rehash Deflategate, and there was some report from Mike Florio that apparently, so the following season, the NFL was registering the PSI numbers of footballs, and this Mike Florio alleges that they destroyed the data because the data would have proven that this is just what happens to footballs. Like, that it's not that Tom Brady was deflating footballs. This is just what happened. But again, all of the reporting about Deflategate involved literally someone whose job it was to go deflate footballs. So that doesn't work. Whether or not footballs naturally deflate on their own, irrelevant if Tom Brady was actually having someone go deflate footballs. Like, the text messages are still pretty damning. Now, again, it might be that the real answer is, well, everybody deflates the footballs, right? Like, it's not just what happens to balls. It's that everyone deflates the footballs. I don't know. But trying to rehash Deflategate and make it a thing, nobody asked Roger Goodell about overtime yesterday in the entire press conference. Not one question was asked. And I get it. There were more important questions that were asked about the Brian Flores lawsuit, about the situation in Washington. In context, those things are far more important. But the obsession Boston people have related to Deflategate, like as if they've been personally offended. Like, my life is worse because, you didn't treat this Super Bowl title as importantly as you should have treated it. Get the entire F out of here. Who cares, man? They won. Nobody has taken it away from them. Nobody has attempted to go back and say the Patriots didn't really win that Super Bowl. Stop. Get a hold of yourself. For F's sake. The obsession with it is nuts. If the NFL, by the way, really did just purposely, delete evidence or whatever you want to call it, get rid of evidence, get rid of those numbers, it's a joke on their part too. It still doesn't change those text messages. It still doesn't change any of that. It's just the reality of the circumstances, man. I don't know what else there is to tell you, but I think Brian Powell's the only Patriot fan that listens to this show, so I don't think I'm going to bother spending too much more time on the topic. All right, today's show is also brought to you by the Live Casino and Hotel. Man, you know how much I love Live Casino and Hotel and the all-new FanDuel Sportsbook, and it's the place to be on Sunday. You want to watch the big game there. Get your live bets in as the game is going on. You can watch the numbers change. Say, oh, boy, I like that now. Got to race over to one of those 51 self-service kiosks or the betting windows and get your bet in. The 51 self-service kiosks are open 24/7, so if you are someone who does love the Olympics and you're watching at odd hours of the night, you can be right there at Live Casino and Hotel and the FanDuel Sportsbook and get your bets in at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., whenever it is that you want to get them in on those 51 self-service kiosks at Live Casino and Hotel. Let's switch gears. Let's talk a little college hoops, a little Terps this morning. Joining us now, one of our favorites, of course. You remember him from his college coaching career, and now you see him on CBS Sports. He is Mr. Steve Lappas, and he's back with us here on GCR. Coach, it's Glenn and Paul. It's great to chat with you as always. Thank you so much for taking a couple of minutes for us up early out there on the West Coast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm out in Spokane. Obviously, I have Gonzaga tonight, which I'm looking forward to seeing live.
I would imagine, right? Like, it's sort of like going to see the Beatles any longer, going to do a Gonzaga game these days. I mean, it's just the Chet Holmgren story. This dude is as legit as it possibly gets when it comes to basketball players.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, and this team, and I've never been to the McCarthy Center, which obviously is one of the best venues in the country. I mean, these guys, they never lose there. They've won 64 home games in a row, which is the longest streak they've ever had. And they've had some streaks. So, and as you said, when you have guys like Holmgren and Timmy, I mean, your two leading scorers are 5th and 10th, respectively, in the nation in field goal percentage. So when your two best players are shooting over 60% from the field, you got yourself a pretty good.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not that bad. It's going to go a long way. What's the difference, Steve, and them finally, look, they've been so close, obviously. Just a year ago, they were right there. What is going to be the difference for them in when this is finally the year that they might cut down the nets?
I know this is going to sound crazy, and I don't mean to be kind of bailing out on your question, but, you have a great coach, you got a great team, you got a team obviously that's good enough to win it all, has been good enough to win it all. You know what the final hurdle is in the end that gets you over the hump? A little bit of luck.
Yeah,
and I mean
sure.
that. I know that sounds crazy, and I'm not bailing out.
No, I get it.
You can sit here and cut this thing apart any way you want. In the end, you need a bounce here and a bounce there, and I think that's all it is. There's nothing that they need to do differently. They do it all. Got to have that last thing that gets you the last piece of the puzzle is a little bit of luck.
I mean, obviously they ran into a Baylor team that was just, playing out of their minds on Championship Monday a year ago. There's not a whole lot that you can do about it. All right.
You're there. You're good enough.
Yeah.
You just don't do it in the end,
Yep.
So that's what we're talking about. I really feel like that's the fine line in the end is a little bit of luck.
Steve Lappas is with us here on GCR. Coach, the reason why we called you is we've been trying to get a sense of the quality of the Maryland job, right? Like, it's a weird season for us college basketball-wise here, as you would imagine, because the games don't really matter all that much, unfortunately. Maryland's playing Iowa tonight, and you're like, okay, we're going to watch, but what are we really watching for? Because, they've been without a coach now for a couple of months. You look around, and knowing what you know about this area, knowing what you know about, what this program has done, you'll hear people say, this is a sleeping giant, this is a top 10, top 15 caliber job, but at the same time, it's a program that's 20 years removed from a trip to the Final Four. It's a program that still, as of today, doesn't have a basketball practice facility, and there's no date when the facility is going to be open. Just how good do you think this Maryland job really is right now?
I think it's a really good job. Now, let me say this. I think, and I don't want to, cause a stir, and I hope it doesn't, but, when Maryland was in the ACC, it was an unbelievable job. Now they're in the Big Ten. It's a really good job, but I think the geography has hurt a little bit in my mind. But you're in a great league. You're in a league that's a national championship league. National champions, even though they've had one in 20 years, can come out of the Big Ten, obviously. That being said, not having a practice facility nowadays, yeah, that's a factor. You know what I mean? Because everybody's got these practice facilities where they have everything in there from, where you practice every day to where your kids do their meals every day to where they do their study hall. Yeah, it is definitely a factor, and that's something that you would think with, all the money that's coming in from the Big Ten, which is why you made that move in the first place, that would be something on the radar. But this is a great job. This is a top 20 job without a question. This is a job where the goal should be to win the national title. Hasn't happened in a long time. It's even been to the Final Four in a long time. But, yeah, I think it's a great job. I think it was probably a top 7 job when they were in the ACC. Now it's top 15. So, but, you're just splitting hairs there. It's a great job.
The irony of that, of course, being that, like, at the moment, the Big Ten is the better basketball conference, but I get what you're saying in terms of geography. And, it's a little bit more difficult to sell kids on wanting to go travel out to Nebraska and Minnesota and places like that during the course of the winter. Steve, let me follow that up by saying, is it the type of job that if you're a coach who's happy where they are, it's so good that you still have to consider leaving it, right? And I'm not throwing that name. I'm just throwing Ed Cooley's name out for the sake of throwing it out because it's one we've talked about a lot, right? Ed Cooley's in a good place. He's a beloved figure. He's an alum. There isn't the pressure necessary to win national championships at a place like Providence, but he's done plenty of winning over the years. Everything says Ed Cooley is happy at Providence. But is Maryland the type of job that's so good that even if you're happy somewhere that you are, you at least have to think about it? Not that I'm asking you to know specifically what Ed Cooley's thinking, but I just mean more generically.
Well, put it this way. Ed Cooley has a great situation where he is. He's got a basically a contract for life.
Mm-hmm.
He grew up in Providence. He's done an amazing, amazing job. I mean, you look at him, he's probably the national coach of the year this year if he's not, you know what I mean? Yeah, there's some guys, there's always guys who've done great jobs, Tommy Lloyd at Arizona and, Bruce Pearl. But to me, and after having seen his team this year, I don't think he has a first-team all-league player in the Big East.
Wow.
So Ed Cooley is an unbelievable coach, and he's done an unbelievable job. That being said, and the fact that, like I said, he's a favorite son. He grew up there. I mean, this is like the perfect place for him. That being said, I think it's going to be hard to win a national title at Providence.
Yep.
Now, if Ed Cooley, in fact, wants to get to Final Fours and have a chance to win a national championship, which is obviously what I know because I was there. I know what it feels like. That's what coaches chase. Money's great. There's no doubt. But he doesn't need money. You chase the national title. And if he wants to chase a national title, he certainly would have a better chance at Maryland to win one. And I'm not saying it's impossible at Providence. It's just very difficult.
Sure.
And let's understand this about Providence job. It has never been a true destination job. You look at the history. Guys, when I was in the Big East, when I first got there in 1992, Rick Barnes was there. Pete Gillen was there. Tim Welsh was there. Tim Welsh stayed a while.
Yep.
But, most of the guys that were there moved somewhere else afterwards. And I'm not saying that it can't be a destination job, but historically it has not been. So I'm not kind of answering your question. I think he would be a great guy. He'd be the best. Would he leave? I don't know, but I can understand why he might think about it.
And it's something we've been talking about a lot, right? Like, do you mess with Happy? Well, if you want to win a national championship, maybe you do. And if you believe that you can win a national championship in Maryland, that would be the reason why you would. He's Steve Lappas. He's with us on GCR. Coach, you mentioned Providence coaches, and obviously Rick Pitino's name comes up still to this day. A contemporary of yours, of course. There's a lot of baggage there, but my God, you see the job he's doing at Iona. This is still Rick Pitino that we're talking about. if you were Maryland, would you be willing to go down that road, or is it more important to find a coach that you know is going to be your coach for the next 15, 20 years to try to find your next Gary Williams, for example?
You know, if you're looking for a lock, he's the only lock out there in terms of lock. Like, this guy is going to win. There's no question about it. Just, mark it down. Now, how far he goes in the tournament, do you get the Final Fours, do you win national titles? I don't know. But I know one thing. He is the only lock out there. And I'm not saying Ed Cooley's not. Is Ed Cooley a lock to go to Final Fours?
He's never been,
we'll
right?
See.
Right.
He hasn't done it. You know what I mean? This guy here, yes, he's done it. So if they're looking for a lock, if they're looking for the best guarantee they can, after a guy like Ed Cooley or, Kevin Willard's name came up too. I think same situation here. There's a school that has never been a destination spot either. Who knows? But he's not as hot right now as Ed Cooley is. But Rick Pitino obviously he's a lock. He's a lock.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. Obviously, there's still baggage that comes along with it, right, Coach? Like, there's no getting around that. But, my God, it's still Rick Pitino that we're talking about. Let me throw out another scenario to you. Just, do you get a sense for how much it matters? People talk about knowing the area, right? And Andy Enfield's name comes up in that way because he's somebody who knows the area. Of course, was at Johns Hopkins, and he's from Pennsylvania. Like, he knows the area. Is that as important at this point in college basketball? It was sort of a knock. Oh, well, we lost Steve Lappas. We'll try to get him back really quickly as we're chatting with the former coach at Villanova and UMass this morning, now a CBS college basketball analyst. He's out in Spokane getting ready to do the Gonzaga game tonight. Steve Lappas checking in with us this morning here on GCR, and I want to ask a little bit. You guys know as I've said before about Rick Pitino, I've had the entire conversation. He's not my guy, but I'm not going to lose my mind if he's the guy that they hire, and I'm going to wish him well, and I'm going to expect good things because it's Rick Pitino that we're talking about. We'll go back to Steve Lappas here for just another minute or two. Coach, I was leaning into the idea of how much it might matter, the local connection, right? Like that some people will say was kind of a knock on Mark Turgeon, that he wasn't from this area, that he wasn't from this region, and he didn't necessarily understand what type of fan existed here, and it was sort of a personality clash over the years. Do you feel like, knowing, Philadelphia is sort of similar, you've been in this region before, how important do you feel like it is for the Maryland hire to be someone who really understands and knows the area?
Here's what I'm going to tell you. And this is, I'm a firm believer in this. Mark Turgeon is a really good basketball coach. Mark Turgeon didn't win enough in the NCAA tournament. Otherwise, all these narratives don't even come up. So, I mean, I love how everybody will say, well, he's not from there. They're going to find something. So let's find this about Mark Turgeon. We're going to find he hasn't won in the NCAA tournament. So let's look for our narrative of why he didn't win enough. No, he didn't win enough because he didn't win in the NCAA tournament. There's the bottom line there. The guy won a lot of games. The guy's a really good coach. If he won more in the tournament, they wouldn't say that. But they're going to dig for a narrative. So I don't buy any of that. Whoever they get there, if he wins enough, it could be from the moon, to be honest with you.
Right.
And in that area there, that's the other reason why it's a great job. I mean, D.C., New York, Baltimore. I mean, you're right in the middle of, you're close to everybody and anything. So I don't buy any of that. And just getting back to Rick Pitino, he's a lock in terms of he's going to come there and he's going to win. And obviously he's from Long Island. He's an Eastern guy, which I don't know if that helps, hurts. It doesn't matter. But the bottom line is, are you willing to put up with the things that have happened late in his career? That's your decision that you have to make.
It's a difficult.
And obviously he's a little older. Do you want to go for the young
right?
But how do you find the young guy who's the up and coming guy that's going to do it? You know what I mean? It's tough to tell.
And it's difficult for me because, Coach, I do think that the answer right now is that they right now they need to win. They need to get somebody who's going to come in and win and sort of revitalize the program. And I don't think that the plan can be, well, we need to have a 20-year guy. Okay, well, right now I think you need to have a 3-year guy. You need to have someone that can breathe life back into the program. And then if that guy happens to stay here for 20 years, that would be wonderful, right?
Right. I agree with you. And like I said, Ed Cooley is a home run. Rick Pitino, he's a home run. That's it. That's like I said. Now there's other guys out there.
Yep.
Maybe you try and find the Rick Barnes, who has done well, but maybe it's time for a change. You know what I mean? But, you're not to leave a really good situation to start all over. That's going to be hard to find somebody to do that.
Can I ask about one more guy? That's Andy Enfield.
Yep.
And it's brought up because I think the world of Andy Enfield, right? Like, and we got to know him a little bit, obviously, because of him being at Johns Hopkins, and as he got to Florida Gulf Coast, he would still come on with us. When he's been at USC, he's still come on with us because of the connection back in the area. And some of the reports are that he is interested in the job. And there you'll hear from people that'll say, I just don't know how good of a coach Andy Enfield is. Of course, everybody remembers his magical run at Florida Gulf Coast. But then they'll point out that at USC, he's been really good when he had Evan Mobley, and he had Evan Mobley because he hired his father, right? Like, there seems to be some sort of national – we're not sure just how good of a coach Andy Enfield really is, separated from he had a really good player that he won a lot with. Do you have a sense for truly how good of a coach Andy Enfield is right now?
Yeah, I mean, he's a very good coach, but he's won a lot of games, but what you're saying is true. You know what I mean? So I don't like comparing coaches, but like we throw back to Ed Cooley. He's probably a 2 seed right now, and I'm telling you, he doesn't have a first team All-League guy, and he doesn't have a pro on his team. So you know what I mean? I think that Ed Cooley has done more with less, and that's not a knock on Andy Enfield. It's kind of more like, what are you looking for? Andy Enfield, he's got ties to the area. He's won a lot of games, and that's a good name. It's a guy who's experienced, who's done it at the highest level there. But you know what I mean? Again, if you're asking me in terms of who has proven to do more with less, and obviously at Maryland, hopefully you can do more with more.
Right.
I'm thinking you can get more at a place like Maryland. But yeah, Andy Enfield, that'd be a great name too.
By the way, when I listen to you describe Ed Cooley, it kind of comes off the way we've talked about Gary Williams over the years. You know what I mean? Like the guy that was just such a good coach that, he could take a 2-star kid out of Baltimore and Juan Dixon and turn him in, I'm not saying it was all on Gary. Of course, Juan was a special player. But, he just didn't need McDonald's All-Americans in order to win every year.
And that's really what you want. You want a guy who has proven that he could take guys and make them into a team. And if you get the great 5-star guys now, boom. And Ed Cooley really at Providence, as good a job as he's done, he's never had really the 5-star plus guys. So, I mean, but can you get Ed Cooley? That's the hard thing.
Yep, that's 100%. He might just be happy. He might just like where he is. All right, Gonzaga, that's tonight, right, for you on CBS Sports Network?
Yep, CBS Sports Network tonight, 9 o'clock.
Excellent. Steve Lappas, is there anything else we can plug for you, my friend?
No, that's it for now.
Tune in, check out the Bulldogs tonight. Coach, always appreciate taking the time for us. Thanks for hopping on this morning. Let's chat again real soon, all right?
You got it. Take care.
Coach Steve Lappas checking in with us here on GCR. Some excellent thoughts. Obviously, he's definitely going to bat for Ed Cooley. And, look, I think Ed Cooley would be a very good hire. I think that there would be a percentage of the fan base that would turn around and say, well, what's he done? And I think in comparison to when they hired Mark Turgeon, and the knock on Mark Turgeon was, well, he really hasn't actually accomplished anything. He's been good, he's won, but he hasn't accomplished anything. And then he spent a decade here doing the exact same thing, winning plenty of games, but not accomplishing anything during that time period. So I think there would be a danger for a certain percentage of the fan base if Maryland were to hire Ed Cooley, where they would say, well, exactly how is Ed Cooley different than when we hired Mark Turgeon? And, they wouldn't be wrong if you're simply looking at results. At that point, when Mark Turgeon was hired at Maryland, he had made one Sweet 16 during the time that he was at Wichita State. Ed Cooley hasn't even made one Sweet 16 during the time at Providence. He's won a ton, and we'll see how this season plays out. To Steve Lappas' point, he is at the moment slated to be a very high seed in the NCAA tournament and have a really good chance at making sort of a breakthrough run. But if he doesn't, or if he, even let's just say they get to the Sweet 16, he would have as many Sweet 16 appearances as a head coach as Mark Turgeon had when Maryland hired him. Now, I get it. The flip side to that is the coaches that have made, when he talked about Rick Pitino as a lock, the coaches that have made deep runs in the NCAA tournament are typically at places where they intend to stay. Typically. every now and then there's, a wild card like Porter Moser making a Final Four run at Loyola Chicago and being available after that, right? Like, you can find every now and then someone who has done that at a smaller school that would still be in a place where they can make a jump up. But typically, the guys that are making deep NCAA tournament runs are at places they're not leaving. So if that's your qualification for hiring a coach, is it's got to be someone who's gone deep in the NCAA tournament, well, essentially you're saying it's got to be Rick Pitino. That's it. You're not taking a chance on a guy you think is ready or a different school would have a different opportunity. You're essentially saying either we hire Rick Pitino or bust.
If Maryland were to hire Ed Cooley, all they had to do is put Steve Lappas at the introductory press conference.
Yeah, it would really sell you on.
Because he sold me on him.
But his points are all very valid. The Ed Cooley, much like Gary Williams, has done more with less, right? Has never had superstars. I mean, transcendent stars at Providence, but has always figured out a way to win, to get into the NCAA tournament despite that, right?
Well, that's kind of the guy you need here, right?
I don't know if I don't necessarily, and this is where I'll separate, right? The flip side argument about Andy Enfield, which is, it's a little unfair because obviously he didn't have superstar players at Florida Gulf Coast when he was making a run to the Sweet 16. But the knock on Andy Enfield at USC is what he's done at USC has been directly correlated to when he's had superstar players. Well, clearly you're hiring a coach at Maryland, presuming they're going to be able to go land superstar players.
Fair.
The knock on, if you want to say there's a knock on Roy Williams, the knock on Roy Williams is that Roy Williams was always as good as his players were. That, Roy Williams couldn't coach his way out of certain situations. If he had a team with lesser talent, he couldn't do anything to get more out of them. Well, how did that work out for Roy Williams? Pretty freaking well, because he constantly had players. He just went and got more players. And I'm not saying this is true about Andy Enfield. I'm not confident in saying that he's not someone that can do more with less, right? But if the argument is he's done more when he's had more, okay, well, you're assuming he's going to come to Maryland and try to get more. Like, that's the idea of taking a job like this, is that you want to have transcendent star players. You want to be a place where McDonald's All-American caliber players can come to. Just because it's not how Gary Williams did things doesn't mean it can't be how Maryland does things. So I'll separate from the idea that that's who you have to hire. No, it certainly could work, but the argument that you couldn't do the same thing with a coach that's more like Roy Williams, now obviously North Carolina will always have inherent advantages, and you'll always be able to get more talent at North Carolina than you can get at Maryland. But to think that you couldn't, if he could get Evan Mobley to go to USC, why couldn't he have gotten Evan Mobley to go to Maryland, particularly if he was willing to hire his father, right?
Southern California.
I understand that. Like, I get the argument. It's not as if USC has been a destination basketball school for anyone. Like, no one said, I have to go play basketball at USC. I certainly understand why you'd say, yeah, but, they got a beach. Like, I get that. Believe it or not, even there's not that many people going to the beach at USC in January. I mean, like in Southern California. You can, but it's not. It's nicer in April, clearly, to be at USC than it is to be at Maryland. But we're kind of splitting hairs a little bit, right? I get it. There's no snow at USC. Fine. I understand that. But I don't think that was the decision that Evan Mobley made and where it was that he was going to go to school. So I think that you have the ability to get star players to come to Maryland. And if you win when you have star players, well, go get more star players. Go get more sellout to go get more recruits. And that's been one thing that Andy Enfield has appeared quite willing to do, is to put everything on the line in terms of recruiting and saying, whatever we got to do. Now, will Maryland work with him the way that USC has worked with him? Because it's one of the knocks that you'll hear in relation to Maryland athletics on the whole, is that they're still not willing to bend. The university isn't willing to bend much in terms of athletics. It's a complaint from football coaches over the years, the way that you schedule classes and you're not willing to reconsider the scheduling of classes based around what's best for us. Bending a little bit to help a kid qualify or get into the school is not something that Maryland has been willing to do. That might be an issue, and it might be the type of thing that a coach like Andy Enfield looks at and says, if I can't get this kid into school, I can't coach there because I need those types of kids in order to succeed. So that could be an issue for him. Or if he takes the job and finds that out later and says, this is a problem. That's been something we've heard a lot about over the years in terms of Maryland. All that being said, I'm good with either one. These are two of the guys that have been near the top of my list the entire time, and Andy Enfield and Ed Cooley. These have been two of the guys that I thought were practical, I thought were legitimate names, and I liked a little bit more than I liked Kevin Willard. It's not that I have a problem with it being Kevin Willard. Kevin Willard just doesn't excite me in any way, whereas I think there's something exciting about both of these guys. I think they both really bring something to the table. I think if it's Kevin Willard, he's a fine coach, and I think he'll have a chance, but it's just not as exciting of a name to me as these two are amongst the practical names. Will it be someone maybe that's outside of the realm of practicality? That's a different conversation that I certainly don't have any reason to assume that at the moment, but it could. We will find out. All right, today's show brought to you by Glory Days Grill. What else can I say about Glory Days Grill? Man, love me some Glory Days. Whew. Smoky thigh wings. Smoky thigh wings. I could start singing about them. They are that good. And you can still get the various items on their winter seasonal menu, the comfort food classics, the house-made meatloaf, the grilled meatloaf sandwich, short rib grilled cheese sandwich. It's all available right now at your neighborhood Glory Days Grill. Get your order in glorydaysgrill.com. Coming up in the 11 a.m. hour, we're going to chat with Ken Zalis. And speaking of Maryland, former Terps tight end Chig Okonkwo, perhaps someone that could be a Baltimore Raven in the future. We're going to catch up with him as well. I've been sitting on a finish this week, so we'll get to that here too. A lot going on a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. Sports fans, the wait is over. The all-new FanDuel Sportsbook is now open at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. This is your chance to win big right in your own backyard. Bet on every sport with self-service kiosks and watch all of the action from the best seat in the house. Make every moment more at the all-new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
After being virtual in 2021, the CIAA men's and women's basketball tournament is headed to Charm City this February 22nd through 26th. The CIAA is an event that has become a celebration of family, culture, and accomplishments that uplift and strengthen the African American community. See the excitement in person as some of the best college basketball in the country comes to Baltimore's Royal Farms Arena with the CIAA Men's and Women's Conference Tournament. Get your tickets now at CIAAtournament.org. That's CIAAtournament.org.
The latest issue of Press Box is available now, and it's our very special annual Best Of issue. On the cover, we celebrate Justin Tucker as our Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, honoring his historic on-field achievements, but also the unprecedented relationship he shared with Baltimore. Inside, we recognize the top people, performances, and moments of 2021, including Cedric Mullins' incredible season and the dominance of local Paralympic athletes. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farms stores. And you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
The Toyota Tacoma comes in a wide range of models and trim lines. You can choose the perfect Toyota to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today.
If you miss anything, don't forget that you can find whole shows later on Spotify, Apple, or Amazon Podcasts. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
All right, back in here on GCR. Paul asks, if Evans hires a coach currently coaching a team, do you think we won't get the announcement until after said team is eliminated from the tournament? Or could that coach leave the team after the regular season like in football? No, 100%. If he hires a coach that's coaching a team that's in the NCAA tournament, you won't know about it until after the NCAA tournament is over. And that's a little bit more common in college basketball. Keep in mind, it's a different conversation entirely that we're having related to college football, where, if you're not in the playoff we just all we can't pretend like these bowl games matter. They just don't. Now, I know the Notre Dame situation was maybe a little bit unique because like they had an outside chance of still getting into the playoff, and that would have made it really awkward. I don't think Brian Kelly would have left for the LSU job if Notre Dame was comfortably in the playoff. He knew it was really unlikely that they were going to find their way into the playoff, and I think the other sort of dirty little secret of it, like he also knew they weren't winning a national championship. They weren't good. Like they had gotten in, it wasn't going to be because they deserved to be there. It was just going to be because a bunch of other teams lost games, and they were the team that was still standing. So no, you won't see a scenario like that where Ed Cooley's getting ready for the NCAA tournament and just decides he's going to up and leave Providence before they play their games. It has never worked that way in college basketball, and until for some insane reason we start seeing it, it's just not going to happen that way. And it's also the other thing that you have to keep in mind. The reason why that's occurred in football is because there's a National Signing Day now in December, and so for recruiting reasons, these schools have felt pressed to have the coach in place. There's no real recruiting to be done in March. Like, the kids made their decisions. There's maybe like a last-second guy who pops up, but there's no real recruiting to be done until you get to the summer circuit, so there's no pressure to have the coach in place before the NCAA tournament is over. That's a significant part of the difference between the two sports. All right, it is a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. If you missed it last night, two important shows from Stan the Fan Charles, as he caught up both with Towson basketball coach Pat Scarry as well as CIAA Commissioner Jackie McWilliams. Both of those shows are available right now if you go to facebook.com/PressBoxSports or by going to PressBoxOnline.com/video for either one of those shows. I've been sitting on a finish this that is so effing wild. I'm honest to God not certain how to rewrite the headline. And I'm actually nervous now that we're doing this other segment on Fridays, that this is so wild that like Cassidy was saving it for her segment. That's going to be her problem for not listening. And it'll really blow up in her face when we already know the story is real. I was blown away when we read this. All right. Boy. Oh, man, how do I rewrite this? Man blanks a blank in order to find his blank, then, oh man, this is too much. I don't, dude, this story is so insane. Then blanks on blank 2 words where, oh dude, I can't give this to you. I actually feel bad about this. Where,
you know what? I already know this because I heard it on 98 Rock.
What is it?
Man steals a car to find his car.
All right, you do know about it. Damn it. I'm really mad about this. If you have not heard this story, this is one of the most insane things I've ever heard in my life. 38-year-old Bradford Weitzel of Port St. Lucie of course, Port St. Lucie in Florida. Of course it's a Florida man. Told Martin County Sheriff's detectives that he couldn't find his car after leaving a Martin County bar early this morning. So he stole one in a good faith effort to locate his own. We've all been there, right? Look, I'm stealing your car, but it's only because I need to find my car. I'll totally bring your car back once I've found my... We've all been there. Tale as old as time. Beauty and the Beast, man. We've all been there. We're like, what are we going to do? We can't find our car. Well, I know what we'll do. We'll just steal this car, but we're not stealing it. We're just borrowing it. That's all. The car is going to come back. He said he somehow ended up on the train tracks along Indian River Drive. Again, this happens. We've all been there. Everybody, you go out driving, all of a sudden you're like, I'm stuck on a train track. How did that happen? We've all, everybody, it's 5 times this month that's occurred to me. 5 times. That's when Weitzel claims the vehicle he stole suddenly stopped dead on the tracks as a train was coming. So he said he got out and ran, leaving the car on the tracks. Well, that's smart because you don't want a train to hit you. You know, you'd rather hit the car. Like, you could damage a car. You don't want to damage you. And again, this was all done in good faith. So I'm sure it can be easily explained to the owner of the vehicle. Look, man, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to find my car.
Here's an IOU.
Right. It's like Harry and Lloyd when she opened up the briefcase. That one's for $1,000. I'd hold on to that one. Come on. Within seconds, the train hit the car, catapulting it into a nearby home where the homeowners were sound asleep. Fortunately, they were not physically injured, although the explosive sound of a driverless car smashing into their side of their home was clearly jolting. I really wish the story would say something like, they went, checked it out, figured out there was nothing they could do about it, just went back to bed. Because there is a never-ending list of things that could occur at my house in the middle of the night where if I'm asleep and there's just nothing I can do about it, I'd be like, all right, man, whatever. I'll deal with it in the morning. I'm not dealing with it right now. Like, just I don't have it in me. And I hate saying this. I have gotten calls about loved ones who passed away in the middle of the night where I'm like, my brain cannot process this at the moment. I have to have a little bit more sleep before I can figure out what I need to do.
That kind of news doesn't jolt you awake?
It jolts me for a minute, and then I realize that, like, I'm not functioning. And it'll be more like, I need another hour. Give me 1 hour, and then I'll be able to really deal with this, right? But, like, right now, it's not really me dealing with this. It's some zombie version of me dealing with this, and that doesn't help anything. I'm not at the appropriate level of talking to other people about it. Like, it wouldn't work in those circumstances.
My dad's very similar.
I have to be functional in order to appropriately handle something significant. I'm telling you, man. Like, I'm trying to think of circumstances. Like, if I found out in the middle of the night, if like the kids woke me up and were like, it's cold, there's something wrong, like there's something wrong in the house, it's freezing cold, I'd probably like, dude, put another blanket on, I'll deal with it in the morning. Like, I don't have the capacity right now in order to deal with this. And I don't know what I would do in the car flying into my house situation. Like, if a car flew into my living room.
I feel like you would get out of bed.
I would get out of bed for sure because I was jolted to check on it. Mm-hmm. But at a certain point, I would sort of be like, okay, I don't know what else there is to do here. I would like to go back to sleep. Maybe I would go somewhere else in order to go. Like, I'd call the authorities, have them come to the house, and I'd be like, can I go to my mother-in-law's house now? Can I just go back to get some sleep, man? Like, I can't deal with this. Meanwhile, Weitzel continued on to a nearby fruit stand where he vandalized the business, then tried to steal a forklift. Okay, but I need to know specifically what the vandalization was. Because clearly trying to steal the forklift, he's got a lot going on. He's probably trying to go back and get the car off the train tracks with the forklift. That's clearly what he's attempting to do. This is all done in good faith. He's trying to help. Sort of like Homer Simpson, right? He's trying his best. He's just dumb. He's just a dumb individual. In the end, Weitzel said he thought it was the best to flag down the responding deputies to let them know he was still looking for his car. Poor guy. He's gone through it. What a night he's had, right? Like, he took somebody else's car, ended up on the train tracks, had to go try to get a forklift, and at the end of the day, he still doesn't know where his own car is. Poor fella. Bradford Weitzel was arrested and charged with grand theft and criminal mischief. Additional charges are expected. I mean, for what? What else are you going to charge this guy with, huh? What else? I mean, he's got to deal with the civil issues that he's going to have to come up with. He's going to be sued for sure. But what else are you going to charge the guy with? You already charged him with grand theft and criminal mischief. What else could be on the list at this point? I mean, come on. Like, what are we just making up charges after that? I feel I have not sympathy, but empathy. I feel empathy towards this gentleman because we've all been in situations where we just can't control our actions. We're just not capable of it.
I have a friend, and if he tells you this story, it takes 2 hours.
By the way, it never says he's drunk, which is the most interesting part about all of this.
I think you're supposed to assume because he left the
But, like, you would think that they would say that. You would think that they would say he was, you know, the DUI would be a charge involved, something along those lines. It never says he's drunk anywhere in there.
It might be Homer Simpson.
I mean, come on, man. Like, we've all... All right, never mind. It's not okay. If he was drunk, none of it's okay. It's not cheeky. It's not silly. Not okay. But it never says he was drunk or under the influence of any substance. Mm-hmm. It literally just says he did all of these things. Stole a car in good faith to try to go find his own. Come on.
I have a friend who was out at a local watering hole, and he got very, very intoxicated, and he called a cab, and he told the cab a completely wrong address to drop him off at. Didn't know where he was. He's walking around. He finds an open garage, and he goes to sleep in the backseat of somebody's car.
Okay.
Wakes up like an hour later, gets out, leaves his sandals in the backseat of this person's car, walking around barefoot. He discovers he's at Maryland Golf and Country Club at this point, which is nowhere near where he lives.
It's quite random.
Did
they drive the car while he was sleeping in it, and that's how he ended up at Maryland Golf and Country Club?
Well, when he got dropped off, it was near Maryland Golf and Country Club, and he's walking around. He sees all these different construction machines and stuff like that. So he figures out he's at Maryland Golf and Country Club.
All right.
Ends up on somebody's front porch. Realizes it's not his house. The lights come on. He goes running, dives off the porch into a bush. And just a wild, I'm leaving out details, but just a wild, wild night where he left sandals in somebody's car.
He woke up and he had a Mike Tyson tattoo on his face, and there was a live animal and a baby in the room. There was just a lot going on. We've all had nights like that. We've all been in situations where we woke up, we looked around, we said, where are we? Where exactly am I right now? I'm in some strange basement. I'm in someone's sex dungeon? What is going on here? We've all been in circumstances like that. So you stole a car. You were trying to find your own. I feel like the judge is going to say that when you go in front of the judge. Say, Judge, yes, you're right. I did take their car. But keep in mind, it was because I needed to find my car. And I feel like the judge is going to say, I understand, case dismissed. Checks out. All good here, man. We've all been there. Didn't work as a finish, this, which is sad because it's so delightful that I just didn't know where we were going to end up going with that. But unfortunately, it didn't play out that way. All right, hour number one of today's show has also been brought to you by the CIAA tournament, which is coming to Baltimore. See the excitement in person as some of the best college basketball in the country comes to Baltimore's Royal Farms Arena with the CIAA men's and women's conference tournaments from February 22nd through 26th. Get your tickets now, CIAAtournament.org. That's CIAAtournament.org. One final time this season, we need to make picks. This man does not factor into it whatsoever, but we're going to bring him back on here to help us out anyway. He, of course, Pressbox Fantasy Football and draft analyst, our buddy Ken Zalis, and he's back with us now here on GCR. What's going on, KZ?
Good morning. How's everybody?
I'm all right. Who do you have a new opinion about based on what happened last week at the Senior Bowl? Who's someone that suddenly changed on your radar because of what they did last week down in Mobile?
There's a couple of guys. I really liked what I saw out of the kid, the edge, out of Minnesota, and I'm going to butcher his name, but Mafe, 6'4" kid, about 260 pounds, really comes off the edge. He was a handful. I'm not from the film. I'm not 100% sure. I love him for the Ravens because he doesn't do great against the run, but I don't know if that's going to still be a thing for the Ravens under the new defensive coordinator. So, that's a guy I would keep an eye on a little bit later. Everybody's talking about the kid Travis Jones out of UConn, the defensive lineman. I really liked him coming in. I wanted to see him against some better competition. I saw it. I think he's solidified himself as a second-round pick and maybe a high second-round pick if the cards fall that way. He's going to be my third defensive lineman when my personal rankings come out behind Jordan Davis and DeMarvin Leal.
I thought you were a Jordan Davis hater, by the way.
Well, but I'm not a hater. I'm not as high. He's not 14 for me. You know what I mean? Like he's not the pick at 14. If you want to give me him around 25, sure. I still have. He's a dominant guy. I still have some questions based on his film, and it has nothing to do with his on-field play. I don't know if he plays enough snaps. Am I taking a guy that plays 25% of the defensive snaps at 14? I'm not. I don't know if the Ravens would. And then I'm in the minority still, but I think that I really like what I saw from Malik Willis. He is going to be the quarterback that you're either going to love him or you're going to hate him. But he checked the boxes for me. Again, another guy, smaller school from Liberty. I wanted to see how he held up, as far as some of the better competition going up against some of the better cornerbacks in this draft. I really like what I saw, and this isn't – I just want to warn everybody, when I do these things, it's not just about the game. I mean, yeah, he played well in the game, but it's about the practices and about the reps and how accurate he was and things, because that's where the evaluation really comes from. The game is fine and all these things about offensive MVPs and defensive MVPs. That's great. But I wanted to see how he played, and he moved up a little bit for me. I don't know if he's the first quarterback taken because there is some risk. Somebody's going to have to, I'm going to duck when I say this, but it's like Lamar Jackson. You had to be comfortable with what Lamar Jackson was coming out of college and had a plan for him. And it's going to, if a team does that, I think you can be comfortable with him as the top quarterback in this draft. We'll just see how that goes.
All right. We will see. Yesterday, my buddy Aaron Oster was trying to get me to bet money on Malik Willis somehow being the number one pick in the draft because the odds are so insane. He's like, look, man, it's still quarterback that we're talking about.
It's still quarterback, and look, if you believe, if you're a quarterback needing team and he's your guy, where do you trade? Where can you find a trade partner? Is it worth the number one overall pick? I mean, look, he's not the number one player in the draft, but how far? If you think Carolina at 6 is going to take a quarterback, you got to get in the top 5. You got to find somebody to trade with.
I hear you. There's no doubt about it. All right, KZ. Anything else that's on your mind these days? What else is going on in your world?
Sports is a weird place right now, my friend.
It is. It's a very, very weird place.
It's a tough place right now.
I'm watching some hybrid snowboard jump, and they're like trying to explain to me how time counts and so does style. I'm like, stop. I'm out. I can't.
I watched at a soccer tournament this past weekend with some people the biathlon, and
of course makes all the sense in the world that that's a sport.
And if you're not a watcher traditionally of the Olympics, you've never heard of some of these sports. And there are some sports in the Olympics right now that are new to the Olympics for the first time that I've never heard of. But the combination of cross-country skiing and shooting,
it's always been fascinating.
It's always an odd one to me.
Like, wait, what else could you just throw in randomly to make it a sport? Why don't we just bake a cake at the halfway point too and see how good you are at that?
Well, I had forgotten about this one, Glenn. I watched it yesterday. I think that ski jumping is fascinating to me because it's one of the probably top 5 things I would never do in a million years.
Well,
okay.
I
just think it's absolutely insane. They have a competition where it's ski jumping from the quote unquote short hill combined with cross country skiing. Okay.
It makes no sense, dude. And by the way,
I don't get the.
As I ranted about earlier, I'm out in general on all judging sports. Like, there just never will be a day that I'm like a judging sport does anything for me. That's not. Stop. This notion that I can definitely say with certainty that this guy was better than this guy because I'm an ex. Stop it. Unless
you're watching Nathan Chen, because that.
If you say so.
Was pretty impressive.
I saw a lot of people on Twitter who were like, "Hey, the Japanese guy that finished second was really good too."
He was.
Yeah,
he was, but he wasn't Nathan Chen.
Oh, for God's sake. It's never
going
to be for me.
Certainty. That was the best. I like the Winter Olympics because I'm very honest about this. I get to see things I've never seen, as we've just talked about. So I'm intrigued by things that I've never seen, and I'm also intrigued by things that I can't do. I can't walk from here to there on ice skates. I can do lots of things in sports. That is not one of them. I've never been able to do it. Don't ask me why. Maybe it's the fear factor. Okay? The fact that a guy, any of these guys or girls, can do 4 rotations and do it 5 times
It's amazing.
in a minute,
I
it's
agree.
just fascinating to me.
It's incredible. I think it's an unbelievable thing. It's just never going to be for me because it involves judging at the end of the day. I'll never be able to embrace.
It's fair.
It's not. People are like, oh, what? Because you're too masculine to watch ice. No, not at all.
I love watching. I watch it all the time.
If we were judging, if the judging sport was which guy was smashing things the best, I wouldn't be interested. Anything that involves judging, I'm out.
Not a big MMA guy.
I hate it when it goes to the card. I hate any time a fight goes to the cards. I talk about it all the time. Like, I hate that. It's the worst thing in sports to have judges determine something. Have a set of rules. If someone landed more punches, they win. That's it. That's the end of it. When every time, what always happens whenever any fight goes to the judges?
Controversy.
Exactly. Because it's nonsense. Because it's nonsense to have judges determine, we think you did better. Well, this guy thinks you did better. You know what that means? We know neither one of them did better. We know that. It's in the eye of the beholder. That's why sports are supposed to have scores and a point system, and someone wins, or it's a race, and the first person that finishes wins, and that's just the way that it goes. That's the concept of these types of things. It's like picking who had the best blueberry pie at the fair. They're all delicious blueberry pies. They're wonderful. People put lots of effort into them, and God bless, there is no world in which someone's blueberry pie was definitely better than someone else's blueberry pie. Nonsense. It's like the Grammy Awards. Imagine. They gave, what was it? They gave Steely Dan Best Album the year that Eminem had that record. Stop it. Those are the people that are choosing who wins these Olympic gold medals.
Or the band that you didn't even know they had the album out this year that won.
Oh, 100%. All of those things. 100%. All right, I'm enough. You want to remind everybody about Underdog Fantasy Football?
Yes. By the way, they're giving away the free square this week. Joe Burrow over under 1 passing yard. So if you have not gone and this is the great time to join Underdog Fantasy because you get the Joe Burrow thing for free. And if you go on at Underdog Fantasy on Twitter, underdogfantasy.com on the World Wide Web, put in the code PressBox when you join for the first time, and we will match up to $100 of your first deposit.
So remind me what the number. It was Joe Burrow and
Joe Burrow plus or minus 1 passing yard.
Well, I got a funny feeling he's going to get over that.
I'm gonna guess probably pretty early in the day.
If I place that bet, he'd get sacked on the first play next
and knocked out of the game, right? Well,
yeah,
no.
well, there will be a lot of loser boards on that case, but you can do great things like over under that we just talked about. You know, Cooper Kupp over under 108 receiving yards in the game, and you match that with up to 4 other picks. You win 20 times your money, but you could do it on 3 picks and win 6 times your money. So, it's a good thing, and it's a lot of fun, and there'll be a lot of Super Bowl. There's a bunch of Super Bowl props for this, and you can also do rivals. You can do 2022 best ball for the NFL if you're into that already, and NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball if they decide to play this year, EPL, that's soccer, folks. In even golf, over under a certain score. So it's a lot of fun. Head over now, put in the code PressBox, and I've had a ball for the NFL season. Can't wait to continue right along.
All right, I'm gonna pair over on Joe Burrow. I'm gonna pair that with. Oh, I like 20.5 fantasy point. 20.5. Does that include PPR when they do it?
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's probably a half PPR.
It's a half PPR.
Yeah, probably.
All right. What about? I'm gonna do it with 8.5 receptions. I'm gonna do. Oh man, actually, I love that.
Yeah, I went the over on the Kupp receptions. I did do that.
All right, I'm doing Burrow
over, and I'm doing 8.5 on cup receptions, and I'm putting it in for. You can only go as high as $25.
$25, yeah.
Put it in. I'm gonna put it in for 15, and it'll
There you
pay
go.
out $45 if it hits.
That's a good thing.
There we go. There we go. It's in. I've made my bet with Underdog Fantasy Football right now. All right, here we go. We have reached the final pick of the season, and for the majority of the crew, it is irrelevant because KZ was eliminated championship weekend, joining John Proctor and Andrew Stecca, who had previously been eliminated. For what it's worth, Andrew Stecca is already the loser. We do know that with certainty. He's the loser, so he's coming in. He's got to fly across the country to hang out in studio, get his back waxed. And eat a tarantula and sing "Hero" from Spider-Man. So that will occur at a date to be determined. John Proctor is clinched fourth, and he cannot finish 500, which was his new goal. KZ is a certainty for third place, and Kyle and I are tied at the top of the table, both 94 and 85 on the season. So let's get everybody else's picks out of the way, and then we'll get to Kyle and I's picks for the Super Bowl. So, Ken, we'll start with you. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. But for the fun of it, what is your Super Bowl pick? What's the number again? Hang on, Paul. What number?
Rams -4.
Rams -4. I know the number's been a little bit different places. Obviously, we use the FanDuel numbers. Rams -4 is the number that we're using.
Yeah, I've been pretty consistent throughout most of the regular season and the playoffs with this, and I'm gonna lay the 4 and take the Rams. I said very early I thought they were the most balanced team in the NFL. Even they went through that little hiccup in the middle of the season. You look at what they can do defensively. You worry about the offensive line for Cincinnati against the defensive line for the Rams, and you worry about the secondary versus Cooper Kupp and Odell Beckham Jr. I like how they're playing. I throw out any mention of that it's a quote-unquote home game because they don't have home fans. But I like how they're playing. I think they hold the trophy this year.
All right. Let's go with John Proctor's pick.
Took the Rams. Claims he's been on them all along.
All right. What about Andrew Stecca? Andrew Stecca, who's, by the way, he's been hot in the playoffs. For what
he's been hot. He's been good in the playoffs. He may have the best playoff record.
It speaks to just how bad his season was that he has been absurdly hot in the playoffs, and yet he's still 16 games back.
He took the Bengals.
Ooh, Andrew Stecca goes with the Bengals. All right, so... Oh, my. This is where we are. I am going to write down who I'm taking. I'm going to scratch it out because I don't feel... no, I'm sticking with it. That's what I'm doing. So what we're going to do is you're going to tell me who Kyle's taking, and then I will present. Pens down. I can't change it. Taking who I'm taking. I will present who it is that I'm taking for the sake of building the drama. Then we'll figure out if we need to go to the number after that. So just... who is it that Kyle has picked in the game?
Cincinnati.
Okay, Kyle has picked Cincinnati. I'm actually a little bit surprised by that, if I'm being honest with you.
I was too.
I'm a little surprised by that. All right, well, so the question becomes, who am I taking? And I will tell you that I came on here last week and told everybody that would listen, I'm putting some money down on Cincinnati. And then Jeremy effing Kahn talked me out of it. So if I lose... it's squarely on Jeremy Kahn because I indeed have written down the word Rams. Rams is what I have written down.
If I remember correctly.
Yes.
From a year ago.
Yes.
Jeremy Kahn led you astray.
Oh, the number of times that I've been led astray by Jeremy Kahn.
I'm very interested, and let me just say this about Mr. Kahn.
Yes,
he's better than this at this.
Yeah, there's no question about that. And he had a great betting weekend last weekend. Yes. Tremendous weekend.
And he's had a great week this week. I didn't see what he did yesterday, but I know he's had a really good week this week. That being said, I'm a little surprised you went down that well another time.
Okay, it's the confidence by which he said it. Like if you would have heard him on Monday, which again, always thank you for listening. Greatly appreciate it, Ken. If you would have heard it on Monday, Jeremy, and he says he's been doing it on his own. I, of course, don't listen to Jeremy's show because that's what friends do. We don't listen to each other's shows. He alleges that throughout the last couple weeks, he has been going on about how the Rams are going to blow out the Bengals, how this is not going to be a close game, how everything about this matchup reeks of the Bengals winning by the Rams winning by a big number. And he's so confident in the way that he says it, right, that it makes me feel stupid. It makes me feel like, what am I missing here? This looks like a close game to me. This looks like a very competitive football game, and I have the chance to get points from the Bengals. Why wouldn't I do that? But the confidence with which Jeremy Kahn speaks, it goes to prove that I probably would have been vulnerable as a young man. I could have ended up in a cult because all it takes.
I mean, I agree with him. The only thing, my only hesitation in that whole blowout thing is I thought the same thing against the 49ers. Now, I know that's a divisional thing, but all the little tracking things that we look at when we like to see trends and stuff like that all said, people are going to still be on San Francisco. This is the Rams easy, and it's probably not going to be close. And that's my only hesitation with saying. Now, I'm on the Rams. It's only 4 points. But I tend to agree with him. Where does Cincinnati win? Like defensive line, offensive, like where do they win? And I can't find it.
Yeah, I hear you.
And
but
maybe
somebody,
the kicking, maybe the
certainly
kicking
the
game.
kicking game. But somebody would point out that we've said that a couple other times already this postseason, right? Their offensive line was supposed to doom them last week, and it didn't. Their offensive line, frankly, should have doomed them against Tennessee, and still they didn't lose the game, right? The point that somebody would make is we've looked at these matchups on paper and said these don't bode well for the Bengals, and yet they've won anyway.
Yeah, they won, that's the whole thing that hesitates you from making that this should be a blowout because they haven't these things. You're right. You're exactly right. I mean the thing that you thought was going to doom them didn't doom them even when it sort of doomed them.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah. I'm with you there.
All right. So there you go. We don't even have to worry about points because we have picked different sides of this. I am on. Oh, God, I'm so nervous about it. I am on the Rams. Kyle is on the Bengals, and that will determine who gets a very small amount of money. It's just not that much. It's, I think, a total of $100. It's your own $25 and $100 from the other four. That's the total of what we're talking about right now when it comes to these picks. But, for the sake of drama, we figured we'd stretch it out. All right, KZ, at Fans Fantasy on Twitter is how people can follow you. And what kind of content will we find at PressBoxOnline.com?
Tomorrow you will see all my lovely final NFL and underdog DFS picks, and then on Tuesday it is draft season.
There you go.
And we will start pumping out 2 to 3 articles and try to get people to learn some names and excited about the draft as we go on our.
I've had a few people try to sell me on Jermaine Johnson over the last week. I've had a couple of people really push me hard on that.
I know this isn't a popular take.
Yeah.
Maybe the best edge rusher in the draft. I know he's not going that high. Really like that kid. I love his tape.
I've had more and more people sell me on the idea of Jermaine Johnson.
If that's the kid they take at 14, I'm going to be honest with you. I'd rather them go offensive line, but I'm not going to be mad about it.
All right, we'll talk more about it. We got plenty of time. We got months to be discussing these.
By the way, can I say one thing real quick before you go?
No, you're not. Oh, hey, I want to thank. By the way, a big thank you to you because Pressbox wrote something about Tyler Beatty. And they used that tid that you gave me, which is he was going to be the first a player in Friends School history to be drafted. Hey, thanks a lot for that. A hell of a sports information director you are, by the way, when we got corrected by the Friends School because he wouldn't be the first player. So thanks a lot. I don't even remember.
Who would be?
I don't remember the guy's name. It was like somebody who was picked in the 14th round in 1968 or something like that.
Really? So it's funny. It's funny because I was actually. This is what I was going to say to you all. By the way, thanks for the tip that you were doing the article on him. By the way,
I didn't do it. I found out the same time you did.
All of a sudden, it's on press box, and somebody's like, "Did you do this?" I was like, "Well, I had a conversation.
So
I didn't know.
I just brought it. By the way, I believe he's actually going to be on the show tomorrow. If you want to stop by. We'll talk off the air. We'll talk off the air.
Yeah, we'll talk off the air. But it was like I asked because obviously I've been there for 14 years now.
Right.
So I went back and asked, and I was like, I think this is going to be the first. I mean, obviously since I've been there, and look, Friends football is not the powerhouse.
No, of course not.
They don't even have a program anymore. But they won a championship in 1945. And that's the only one they've ever won in football.
All right, this came from Friends School. Thanks to our development team for the news that Tyler would become the second player drafted. Joe Cowan was the first chosen by the Colts.
Joe Cowan. Now I know
the
funny thing is
the 17th round. The 17th round.
Yeah,
which was a thing.
I would like to apologize. It's also funny that the school never even consulted me in any of this conversation.
Yeah.
But having said all that, I apologize to that. I missed the guy in the 17th round for the 16th
Thanks
round.
a lot, jerk.
I do apologize.
By the way, for those that don't know, Ken has an official title at Friends.
Official title.
I thought I was speaking to a reputable source who was giving me this information about said young man.
It just shows you how reputable a source it is. I have not been as somebody who has been with Pressbox. I don't know how long now, maybe 6 years, and have been with Friends. I have been consulted on neither side of any of this conversation. So that's how much stroke I have in either place.
Well, I thought I was getting my information from the right man.
I will sincerely apologize but super kid.
Send me a fruit basket, please. Send me something like that. All right. Love you. We'll talk to you soon. All right, pal.
Okay. Take care.
KZ joining us here on GCR. Yeah, Tyler Beatty scheduled to join the program tomorrow. Missouri running back who would be the second player ever drafted from the Friends School and is expected to be. He had a great week down at the Senior Bowl last week. He is expected to hear his name called fairly early in the NFL draft, so he is scheduled to join us tomorrow. All right, we roll along. Today's show also brought to you by this. We really are in the nitty-gritty. Next Wednesday is officially the day for the next print issue of Pressbox to hit newsstands, Wednesday the 16th. So this is it. Final days for you to go get the best of issue, which is still available at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find Pressbox, or read it all. PressBoxOnline.com/bestof. I actually would rather, I don't really care. It's $100 is not going to change my world in any way, right? Maybe I'll donate it to somebody or something like that. So I'm not really sweating it out. I remember what this was like sweating out losing. Like sweating out when your final pick is going to come down, when the Super Bowl is going to determine who's going to be the one that has to pay the price. I think the Bull Balls was one that came down to the final, and it made the experience miserable. Like, it was a miserable night for me watching, and I want to say that was the Kansas City San Francisco game, maybe. Like, I could not, I didn't even want to look at the TV. Like, I just hated the fact that something like that was at stake. This will be no sweat whatsoever. I will not care. At no point during the game. I'm not really rooting for the Rams. I think it's the better outcome of the two, right? And maybe that played a factor into why Jeremy was able to convince me to bet the Rams. But I won't even think about it as the game's going on, right? If something thrilling occurs during the game, there's some, David Tyree-esque magical play that happens during the game, there will not even be a thought in the back of my head like, crap, I picked the Rams. That really hurts their chances of covering. Because it's $100. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just not, and it's not money that I bet. I guess that's not true. I guess because I am putting $25 in. But I don't know. It won't impact me the same way that the other side would. The other side is I cannot enjoy myself. I can't. We went. My buddy is the director of the veterans department at Towson University, and they host a big event for the Super Bowl every year. And I like to support them, so I bought a couple tickets. Proctor and I went out for that game. That was the San Francisco Kansas City game, and I'm telling you, I didn't look at the screen for like a quarter at the time. Like, I couldn't do it because I had this just pit of my stomach feeling. And I don't remember if that was the bull balls or something else. I feel like it might have been something else. I can't even remember all the penalties I've had to pay over the years. There have been so effing many of them.
You have to eat how many bull balls?
Oh, what did I do? What did I do last September? What was the? Oh, I was supposed to be a pound of them. I physically couldn't do it.
Oh my god!
Like, I couldn't get anything
I thought it
more
be like
into my
1 or 2.
No, I was supposed to eat a pound of bull balls, and I just realized that like I ate like 6 of them or something like. And then
were they at least fried?
Oh yeah, they were. Our buddy Tim from Bel Air did them on the air fryer. He did it. I'm sure as good of a job as you possibly could have done. It was still a miserable experience eating them. Like, there's no taste. They're just chewy. That's it. That's all it is. They just chewy forever. And then at some point, I physically couldn't get any more food into my body. Like, it just was not. I could not get anything. If you had offered me fried pickles, if you had offered me something I loved, here's a piece of cheese. I couldn't physically put any more into my body at some point, and so I just had no choice. I had to tap out at that point. I couldn't get through the entire pound.
What was the penalty for tapping out?
I think they all saw what. I think they all were sort of like, dude, you're good. Like, you've eaten a lot of bull balls. You're fine. Like, you can't. It's not a question of whether or not like you've attempted to pull this off. It would be like if I said to somebody, you got to eat 15 pounds of something. Like, they couldn't possibly do that.
Right.
It's there's no way. God, I wish I could remember what it was. I had to pay another one off, and this is the San Francisco, Kansas City one. I had to pay another one off, and I just literally did it last year, and I can't for the life of me remember what it was.
Was it the mayonnaise and something? I remember seeing something like
peanut butter mayonnaise sandwich. Peanut butter, yes, is exactly what it was. It was the peanut butter mayonnaise sandwiches. So maybe it wasn't that Super Bowl. Maybe it was last year's Super Bowl. I just remember there being a Super Bowl where I physically couldn't look at the screen because I was so.
I don't think you'd be like that over peanut butter and mayonnaise.
Oh, no. You have no idea what you're talking about. You have no clue what you're saying. This was the worst thing that I've ever experienced.
Really?
I spent 30 minutes puking. There were 6 sandwiches, and they were mayonnaise sucks. It's awful. I'm never going to get the opportunity to work the Duke's Mayo Bowl because I could never say something nice about mayonnaise. It's horrendous.
I love it.
I wanted to die. I would rather do another drinking show than do that show again. I will never participate in that, and that's definitely the one. When that was the penalty, I wanted to be dead. I wanted to be dead. And watching that Super Bowl was just god awful.
I think I'm going to try when I get home just to see.
You got to remember what you can't. You could not replicate what I had to do. I'll pull up the ad. There were 6 different.
Just to taste it.
You're not gonna be able to replicate the feeling. It was one. Oh, I also had to drink a friggin' liter of birch beer during the course of the morning.
You're not a birch beer guy?
Birch beer's delicious, and I feel like we should normalize. But after a certain point, it was just creating hell inside. There was a war going on inside my body.
Burpee soda.
Yeah, there was a lot of that, and then that was making me retaste the peanut butter mayonnaise, all of it. Oh.
Were there different variations or just all peanut butter mayonnaise?
Yeah, no, there was a bunch of different accoutrement on every sandwich. Every sandwich, something was like, one of them was had onions and salami and hard-boiled egg. Another one was raisins and carrots. Like, there was different accoutrement on every peanut butter mayonnaise sandwich. It was hell. Hell.
Did they let you tap out of that one?
No, I had to finish all 6 sandwiches. Had to finish all 6 of them and wanted to die. And I'm not kidding. I spent 30 minutes. I looked at everybody because Tim was here and somebody else was here, and I looked and I said, God bless you, I have to excuse myself. And I spent 30 minutes in that bathroom puking. Like, and it just was wretched. Hope you guys are enjoying your lunch. Hope as you're watching the show this morning, I hope you're enjoying your lunch. All right. When we come back in, Chig Okonkwo is going to join us. Maryland tight end. We're talking a little NFL draft. He is certainly someone who's going to hear his name called in the draft. And it's official as of yesterday. He's headed to the Combine. We'll talk to him about all that next. It's Glenn Clark Radio. After being virtual in 2021, the CIAA men's and women's basketball tournament is headed to Charm City this February 22nd through 26th. The CIAA is an event that has become a celebration of family, culture, and accomplishments that uplift and strengthen the African American community. See the excitement in person as some of the best college basketball in the country comes to Baltimore's Royal Farms Arena with the CIAA Men's and Women's Conference Tournament. Get your tickets now at CIAAtournament.org. That's CIAAtournament.org.
Sports betting has come to Maryland, and we're ready to help you win some money. Tune in for Simply the Bets with Glenn Clark and Paul Valley every Wednesday morning at 11:30. FanDuel Sportsbook GM Bruce Billick and VSiN's Aaron Oster join the guys every week to give you all of the info you need and even to offer a few winners. So come win some money with us on Simply the Bets every Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. Brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio and watch at YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline.
Glory Days Grill's winter seasonal menu is back with comfort classics like their house-made meatloaf and short rib grilled cheese. It also features the center-cut sirloin with grilled shrimp, the char-grilled pork tenderloin, grilled meatloaf sandwich, smoky thigh wings with Alabama barbecue sauce, and a Brussels and bacon appetizer. All of these items pair well with Devil's Backbone 8-point IPA or their anniversary IPA brewed by Devil's Backbone. And try their seasonal cocktails, Blood Orange Bourbon Cider, Apple Ginger Mule, and Captain's Hot Cider. Find out more and get your order in today at glorydaysgrill.com. Great food, good sports.
It's another cold winter here in Baltimore, but this time there's no hot stove to warm you up. Hi, I'm Paul Valley, and while there may be no activity in the world of baseball, I'll still be here every week with my co-host Zach Goodman to give you all the latest in the CBA negotiations as teams look to get back on the field in time for spring training. You can watch us live every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon at youtube.com/PressBoxOnline or Facebook.com/PressBoxSports and listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. So tune in every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon for the latest in baseball coverage right here on the Bat Around.
We can't imagine why you'd want to, but you can watch GCR live. It's at Facebook.com/PressBoxSports and try to guess whether these guys are wearing any pants.
Yes, Paul just showed this media. Rob Manfred is talking to the media apparently this morning as the word that came out last night is the sides are going to get back together on Saturday, and there is some optimism. Of course, we've heard that a couple other times, and it didn't lead to anything, but there's some optimism about where they're headed. Rob Manfred essentially not saying much as he meets with the media today, saying not making any sort of change to spring training right now, believes that whenever they do get a deal done, it would only take about a week in order to get everybody to spring training, so you could say they still have time. Obviously, the dates that pitchers and catchers report, not all that significant, right? Like, you could just sort of say everybody's reporting on the same date, and then we're going to go play some games. Like, you don't have to move games, even if you're going to miss. What was the first date that that pitchers and catchers were going to report? It was going to be next Monday, right?
Monday.
Monday was the first date where any pitchers and catchers would report. So even if no pitchers and catchers report on Monday, that doesn't – if they agreed to something on Saturday, or even if it was another week, they could still get all of the players to spring training in time for games to start. The secondary part, we talked about this a lot, it really doesn't matter mostly whether they have a full spring training or not. And as I say that, I always give the caveat of it matters a lot in those communities. In those communities in Florida and Arizona, it matters a ton. It is a huge moneymaker for those communities. Anybody who's ever been down to Sarasota, like, it breathes life into that community when spring training baseball is going on. It is a Saturday spring training baseball game is a mob scene at those parks. Some of the midweek games are mob scenes at those parks. There are packed crowds. It's more similar to like AAA baseball at that point. Like, you know, for example, my single-A baseball breathes life into Aberdeen, but Aberdeen is a small place, right? AAA baseball breathes life into real cities. Indianapolis, Buffalo, places like that. Like, AAA baseball breathes real life into those cities. When there's a Nashville, when there's a game going on, it's a big deal in those communities because it's a 10,000-person event that you're talking about. That's like a concert. That's like any event that 10,000 people attend is a massive community gathering, no matter what it is, whether it's a festival, whatever it might be. Minor league baseball is a big deal. Spring training baseball in those places is huge. There are businesses that make their nut during those months because there are visitors to the community. There is tourism money that's being spent. It's massive. So I say it doesn't really matter, and I mean that. Like, for the majority of people, who cares if you end up lopping off a week of spring training games? Well, in those communities, they'll care. It'll be a big deal to lose any spring training whatsoever. So it'll be a bummer for them. We, of course, aren't one of those communities, so it's not nearly as important to us. Our priority is
are you playing games in April, right? Like that's what matters to sliders and what matters to pickles and what matters to downtown businesses is will there be baseball games being played that people will be going to, and will we get 162 of them, 81 of them at home? So we'll see. Again, there's some optimism about these talks that are going to happen on Saturday. And look, I hope they're right. I hope Paul ends up being right, and the Orioles play a game on March 31st. I hope that's the case. We never decided on a penalty for that.
We did not decide on that.
We got to get on that. We got to get on that, a penalty for that, because I basically can't lose. So I need to know.
Well, you can, because April 1st is a scheduled off day.
Right, but if they play on April 2nd, then I'm closer than you are. I basically can't lose. You guys really screwed up by letting me be the third person that picked. I can't lose. There's no way. Yeah. One of you is going to be further away than me.
I don't think we decided on the order.
You guys just yelled out dates, and I was the last person to get one. I was about like an idiot. I was trying to remember what I was going to put down. I was going to put down some random date, and then I'm like, wait, what am I doing? This is insane. Just pick a date between those two, and I'm good. I can't lose. So I need a penalty because I can't be the one to pay it. It's a bet between you and Forrester at this point. I nailed this. This was the smartest moment of my life yesterday, realizing I should bet the way that I did.
I will eat a peanut butter, mayonnaise, salami, onion.
You're excited about it. You want to do it. And Forrester won't do that because it involves mayo. All right, we had to do this a little bit earlier on because of his schedule. He is training and getting ready for the NFL draft, but always appreciate an opportunity to catch up with Chig Okonkwo right here on Glenn Clark Radio. Let's talk a little NFL draft right now. Joining us, a man that we've caught up with a few times over the years. He, of course, a former tight end at the University of Maryland. He was out at the East-West Shrine Bowl last week showing off, turning heads. He's getting ready for the NFL Combine. As it's official, he's going to be there in Indianapolis in a couple of weeks. He is Chig Okonkwo, and he's back with us here on GCR. Chig, it's Glenn and Paul in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you as always, man. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes for us.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, dude. Hey, how great was Vegas, man? It seemed like it was a pretty great week for you. Everybody's talking about you, making nonchalant touchdown catches. Like, it seems like that was a great experience for you.
Yeah, man, it was fun getting out there, getting to, ball in front of the coaches, getting to learn how offenses work with the NFL coaches and just, being around a lot of great players. It's definitely a fun experience all around.
The best thing that you learned from anyone or picked up during the course of your experience out there at the Shrine Bowl?
Just picked up that, I feel like the best thing I learned out there is just I don't have to worry about learning the offense when I go to a league. I know that I'll be able to do it pretty easily.
Just because of what you already know from University of Maryland?
Yeah, just from what I learned from there, and then how how quick we picked it up.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Getting into it, we only had 3 days to learn it, and just using the way I did it was I would just change the terminologies of their plays to ours because our playbook was pretty much exactly the same.
Got you.
Whenever they would have a play, they'd call it something like 34, and I'll be like, okay, in my head, I know that's Bronco for us. So I'll just be like, okay, I'm going to think of that as Bronco.
Got you.
I see something like, oh, yeah, okay, 22 double was one of their calls. I'll be like, okay. And just judging by the picture, I saw that it was our same play called iron, but it's a power play. So I'll just think when I hear 22, I think iron. When I hear 23, I think steel. And just like that, that's the way I was just going about it.
Wow. That's actually fascinating, man. It's for a lot of people, it sounds like, you're picking up a different language, right? But, it's just not all that dissimilar, you know what I mean? You can
football
you can go
on every level, man. I realize now it's just the same. So it's the same plays, different terminology.
That's cool. That's really, really cool. Chig Okonkwo with us here on GCR. Chig, being out there and, getting the invite to the Combine and being on the cusp of what's going to be a pro career for you, I think a lot of people are familiar with your backstory and what you went through over the course of the last couple of years and a significant health scare during the course of the pandemic. Do you have more appreciation? Does it mean a little bit more to you being at this place right now after having gone through all the things that you've been through?
Yeah, definitely it does. But I've always expected to be in this situation at the end of my college career. So for me, it's kind of like what I expected it to be. but definitely do have a more profound appreciation for the game.
I appreciate that.
How I go about my business.
Sure. Like knowing this was always the plan, right? Like this was always where you were going to end up. Chig, going through a season like this and having it play out the way that it did, not only for you personally, but for the team, getting to the bowl game, kicking the crap out of Virginia Tech in the bowl game. How pleasant was that for you as a final taste of college football and your experience at Maryland? Again, given, just an overwhelming amount that not only you, but everybody went through over the course of the last 4 years.
Yeah, man, it was just amazing. It was just like the cultivation of, everything we went through, all of our hard work, and to finally, just get over the hump, get over 500, finally get to a bowl game, and, just win the bowl game and have like a perfect game in the bowl game.
Right.
We were talking all year to have like a perfect game, and we feel like we never had that during the season. But, we got to the bowl game, we played great on all three phases of football, so it was great to, finally have that game as well, and then, make all the cool memories with the guys, in New York City, and, just set the tone for, what Maryland football can be over the next few years. I'm just happy that we got to do that.
What you just said there is really important to me, and I talked to a lot of guys who sort of echoed that, like that you've laid something now. There's a foundation.
There's a standard, yeah.
Right. And is that what you guys feel like that you've done for the years to come at the University of Maryland? That like, okay, we've paved the way. Now you guys can go build off of this.
For sure, man. It's like now that we've got to the bowl game, every year it should be expected. Every year, everybody should expect every single year that we're going to a bowl game. That should just be the expecting of it, and then that's like the bare minimum. That's our standard now. So it's like now every single year we're striving for even better than that. I can't wait to see, man, what these guys can do over the next few years. I'm going to be watching every single time. I'm excited for them.
That's really cool.
I'm glad I got to be a part of it.
Chig Okonkwo with us here on GCR. Chig, I referenced you're headed to the Combine. You, Nick Cross as well, headed to the Combine. What do the next couple of weeks look like? This is so much different than like preparing for a football game, Like, what do the next couple of weeks look like? What is your focus for what it is that you want to show off while you're out there in Indianapolis?
It's going to be the training that we've been doing for the past, like 8 weeks. So it's going to be just that, and then keep doing what we're doing, and we'll be fine. My focus personally is the 40 because I know that's going to be what makes me the money. So just showing guys that I'm trying to be like, one of the fastest tight ends there, if not the fastest. I feel like I can do that.
What's your target number? What are you trying to run?
I can't tell you that, but we'll see. It's gonna be a fast time.
Do you have like a fastest time that you've posted like at this point?
No, we haven't tested yet.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to the show, man. Like, Vernon Davis ran a pretty fast 40 once upon a time, Like, there's a history of guys at the University of Maryland that have been able to do something along those lines. Of course, obviously, the many receivers over the years that have posted insane 40 times.
Yep.
Chig, I was reading something Brett Coleman wrote about you recently on Twitter and sort of said, I'm looking at this draft, and I see Chig Okonkwo as a guy who could be the next Kyle Juszczyk, right? And I thought about that, and I said, wow, that's really interesting to me because, we've seen so much of what you do downfield, obviously. Do you feel like maybe there's an element to your game of what you can do in the backfield that you can also bring to the next level that can make you an even more complete player, somebody who's even more unique at the next level than just a downfield pass catcher?
Yeah, I'm definitely probably the most unique tight end prospect in this class, I feel like, just because I've had to play in every single role on offense. I played out wide. I played in the slot. I played with my hand in the dirt. I played at running back. I played in the wing. So I feel like I definitely have those capabilities to definitely, play that type of role. But I feel like my, best role would definitely be still playing tight end.
Sure.
For sure. But I know for a fact when I'm playing in the league, I'm definitely going to be in the same positions that I was,
Now, given your size, I'm going to think that you're going to be a guy that's going to be counted on to score some touchdowns at the next level the way that you did this season.
For sure.
I'm going to guess that's going to be a role that you have in mind. Chig, your journey, right? Like, has it started? Have you had a moment yet where you've like had to pinch yourself, like, boy, I'm just about there, or does it not become real to you until you actually like put on a uniform this fall and you're playing in the NFL?
It's weird because like my goal like always wasn't to make the NFL, so it was always play in the NFL. So I guess it's gonna happen once I start playing in the NFL.
Yeah, I get that.
Because for a while long, like from the time, from the time I got my first offer in high school, I knew I was going to the NFL. So it's like, and actually, matter of fact, from the time I was a kid, I knew I was going. So it's like, for me, it's like playing and, playing big time football in the NFL, like winning playoff games, like, winning, playing in the league for over 5, maybe even 10 years. That's like my main goal. Because now I know, like, I'm definitely going now, and now my goal is, to make the most of it when I get there.
That's a great point, right? Like, you're not just there to be a tourist. You're not just there to be happy to be there. Like, you want to be there for a long time, and you want to accomplish a lot of things during the course of your NFL career.
Because making it doesn't guarantee that you'll be there for a while. It's what you do after, so that's what I'm focusing on.
I saw you tweet recently about, are you a gamer, Chig?
Yeah, I'm a gamer.
So, like, is that something that you take seriously? Like, I saw you tweeting about Boston Scott, who, like, is like literally a professional gamer now on top of being a hell of a football player. Are you, like, that good that you could do that as well?
See, I'm not that good where he's
okay.
0.6% of his game. Like, I play League of Legends, so, like, that's, like, the number one game, in the world.
Yep.
But, yeah, the highest rank in that game is, like, Challenger, and I'm gold, so there's no shot. I'll never make it that high. But it goes like iron, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, master, grandmaster, and challenger.
So you're a ways away.
For you to even have a chance to be on a pro team, you'd have to be like
the
top of challenger, and I'll never hit that.
All right. I would imagine you're probably a little bit distracted right now. Like, you don't really have a whole lot of time to focus.
For sure.
On League of Legends. It's like, it'll always be there, in the moments that you have time, but, probably not the thing that you're going to be able to spend a whole lot of time on. What does life look like right now? What is a day-to-day? Is it legitimately 12 hours a day, like just driven, focused, this is all that I'm doing until now in the draft?
Heck no. Literally the most chill time of my life, I think I've ever had.
Really?
It's you wake up at like 6, go hit my first session, speed, come back in the afternoon, hit our weights, get massage, PT, stretch, anything you need. Then go home for the rest of the day. I'm chilling.
That's awesome. Where are you working out at?
CBS Sports in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay. Man, it doesn't seem like a bad place to be right about now. It beats being in College Park at the moment.
Yeah. We got some nice weather down here.
I was going to say.
75, 80 degrees every day. So
you say
I'm
that.
definitely enjoying it.
It's supposed to be 60 this weekend up here, so we're
that's a little better.
Yeah, right. We're ready to start going to the beach. Come on.
Yeah, I was at the beach this weekend, this past weekend. So
tough life, Chig. Real tough life that you're living down there. Hey, Chig, before I let you go, and I really appreciate the time, your experience with Coach Loxley and what that has meant to you these last few years, and why maybe more players should be considering Maryland as the path for them that can get them the opportunity to live out their dreams the way that you're about to live out your own.
Yeah, man, definitely feel like a lot of kids, especially in the DMV area, they need to, consider Maryland a lot more because a lot of them like leaving, but it's like everything you want is right here at home, with Coach Lotz, and then, with our great facilities now. We have a ton of great players on the team. Like, we have everything you need, to make it to the league. You see, we have guys come out every single year, make it to the NFL. So it's not like you need to go out here, go to these, maybe these bigger schools. Like, everything you need is right here at home in Maryland. Like, you'll get developed by the best of the best. You get to play against the best of the best in the Big Ten. We're playing against all the best teams in the Big Ten East. We have, all these resources here for you, and especially in this, and it's a big marketable area, and the D.C., Baltimore area. So it's like everything you need is right here, man. So for real, like the young recruits need to, just trust in, Log's vision, trust in Maryland's vision, and then, this team will be at the top of the Big Ten, very soon.
Chig, it was a lot of fun watching you play these last few years, man, and knowing what you have been through to get you back out on the field this season, have you accomplish what you did, man. It's an incredible story. I know it's at Chig Tweets on Twitter is how people can follow you. What about on Instagram?
Sure.
Where are they giving you a follow there?
Instagram at d1.chig.
At d1.chig. Give him a follow there as well. Chig Okonkwo, man, best of luck over these next couple of weeks. I have to tell you this is just the reality of our circumstances. We're going to be happy for you no matter what. Just, and I know there's a lot of connection right now between Maryland and the Steelers. Just understand
If that's what it ends up being, please don't be offended by the things that we say about you. We promise we still love you. We just don't mean it. It's just the way that it works, right? Like, you just got to understand that, okay?
No, I understand that rivalry, man.
All right, Chig, thank you for taking the time for us, brother. Best of luck, all right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Chig Okonkwo, former Maryland tight end, and now getting ready for the NFL draft. Appreciate him taking the time for us this morning, as it is official that he is headed to the scouting combine in Indianapolis. If you missed it yesterday, Simply the Bets is available for you. You can listen to it in the archives, or you can go watch it right now at youtube.com/PressBoxOnline or Facebook.com/PressBoxSports. We do it every Wednesday. It's brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. The FanDuel Sportsbook GM Bruce Billick and Aaron Oster from VEASAN checked in with us to try to help us make some bets. Get all that information that you need to make your own bets by watching or listening to Simply the Bets every Wednesday morning at 11:30 a.m. When we come back in, we'll get a tidbit, we'll get two-bit, or wind things down for a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. Sports fans, the wait is over. The all-new FanDuel Sportsbook is now open at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. This is your chance to win big right in your own backyard. Bet on every sport with self-service kiosks and watch all of the action from the best seat in the house. Make every moment more at the all-new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
The latest issue of Press Box is available now, and it's our very special annual Best of issue. On the cover, we celebrate Justin Tucker as our Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, honoring his historic on-field achievements, but also the unprecedented relationship he shared with Baltimore. Inside, we recognize the top people, performances, and moments of 2021, including Cedric Mullins' incredible season and the dominance of local Paralympic athletes. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farms stores. And you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
The biggest pro wrestling stars today and all time all have one thing in common. You've heard them on Jobbing Out.
Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks.
Thanks for having us, man. Appreciate it.
The great Kurt Angle.
Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Matt Riddle.
Yeah, man. Thanks, man.
The champ, Drew McIntyre.
Oh, thank you for having me.
The great Ron Simmons.
Keith Lee.
Appreciate you guys having me, man.
Bill Goldberg.
My pleasure.
Charlotte.
Thank you so much for having me.
Mick Foley is with us.
This is the greatest name for a wrestling show I've ever heard.
MJF.
I'm glad you're happy I'm on this show because I'm freaking miserable.
Le champion!
Chris Jericho.
Le champion.
AJ, Aaron, Brandon, and Glenn are talking pro wrestling every week on Jobbing Out. Find it at PressBoxOnline.com/radio, iTunes, and SoundCloud.
Stay tuned. Your chance to win $1 million is coming up. Probably not from us. You're listening to Glenn Clark Radio.
All right. Back in here on GCR as we wind down for a Thursday edition of the program. I feel like I swear to God, I had things that on my way in this morning, I'm like, we need to cover this because we didn't cover it. We need to cover this. We didn't talk about it. We need to cover this. And I ended up ranting about whatever, and I just have utterly forgotten about it. We never really talked about the Ravens ticket price thing yesterday. The Ravens are raising ticket prices, the average cost being about 9%. The statement they put out from Baker Koppelman, revenue generated through your valued investment allows us to sign and retain players who will help the Ravens contend at the highest level, and it provides the kind of stadium experience you deserve and expect. We are committed to ongoing enhancements to your game day experience, which over the next several years will include a long-term capital improvement plan for M&T Bank Stadium to keep it vibrant well into the future. I don't really know what to say about it, right? The argument has always been, well, they don't do it every year. They only do it every other year. Well, at some point, there has to be a cap to these things. At some point, there's a general inflation problem. That's the part they can't speak about, right? The cost of signing players is no different. It's based on how much money the teams make as a whole, right? They're making the money to sign the players. So that I'm not trying to knock Baker because Baker's a good guy, and I think he does a very good job. But that's nonsense. Like the way that we determine what the salary cap is based on how much money the teams make. So the salary cap is set by the money that you know that you have, not by money that you might make. This is not the money that goes to signing players. This is the money that's necessary for operating costs. And the reason why the operating costs are going up is the same reason everything's going up in the world, which is inflation's out of control. And we all know that. It's affecting all of us. It's a disaster. So is it disingenuous to say it's about signing players? Yes, it's disingenuous, but I also get it, right? Like it's a weird thing where I don't love that people lie, but sometimes I also understand that it's just easier to do that than it is to try to get into the nitty-gritty and explain the way that businesses work. It's easier to say, well, we need you to be on board with us. You want us to go out and sign players, right? This is the way that we go about doing it. It's not true. That's not true. You've got operating costs as an organization, and you employ a lot of people that have nothing to do with the football team. The Ravens have become a massive employer in the community. And in order to employ all of those people, you have to be making a profit. And the ability to make a profit is more difficult because the cost of everything has gone up. The cost of having food in the cafeteria for the players and the employees has gone up. The cost of everything is higher than it's been in the past. So they've got to make that up. They would also, again, if you stuck the truth serum in them, they would also say, look, even if we didn't have to cover inflation costs, we have to stay competitive pricing-wise with other teams. We can't watch ticket prices go up around the NFL and have ours be distinctly less because there's a system here. We have to help our partners. And if the Panthers raise ticket prices, we can't allow them to be hung out to dry by somebody saying, well, the Ravens don't do it. Because we're all partners here. So all of our ticket prices have to be competitive with each other so that we don't throw anybody else under the bus, so that we don't end up outing the Bears or the Bengals or whoever it is as being bad, greedy people when they're our partners. 32 NFL teams are all working together. We are not competing against each other other than on the football field. We all want to make our revenue. And if they're raising their ticket prices, we got to raise our ticket prices too. That's the way this works because, it's collusion. We are all working together. In the same way, frankly, that a lot of industry will do this, where there's this dirty little secret that's hey, look at gas prices, right? There's no one gas station that's we're going to slash our prices in order to beat everybody. They're not going to do that.
The difference in 10 cents at the lowest one.
Correct. So, and they're not even working together. Not all of them. I don't love it, and we're running out. This is a bigger problem the Ravens and everybody in all of professional sports has to deal with, is the live experience keeps getting worse in comparison to the home experience. We've talked about this for a decade and a half now, and you're not closing that gap. When I rave and rant about the fact that every stadium that gets built moving forward should have a roof on it, it's because you're now asking me to pay even more money for a season that extends on into January, and it's going to be miserable to go to the football game, and there's a chance that the quarterback doesn't play, and there's a chance that the game doesn't mean anything. But you're telling me now, not only do I have to pay the money up front, I've got to pay more money for that. That bubble has to burst at some point.
What if it came with a free hot dog?
That would help. I'm not going to say it doesn't help, but the bubble has to burst to say we're making improvements, we're making it's noise. How are you preventing me from having to stand in the effing cold for 5 hours on a Sunday when the team stinks? Are you going to guarantee that if that plays out, I get my money back? These are the types of things that teams have not had to deal with, but slowly but surely it's inching towards that. You see it every December in cold weather cities. Even good teams don't have full stadiums for every game. And again, at the moment, overwhelmingly, people still say it's still a good investment for me to have my season tickets. Overwhelmingly. But the bubble is going to burst at some point. When it is, I don't know. But there will be a burst. You can only do this forever. Obviously, the bad teams, the bubble burst a long time ago. In Washington, the bubble burst, a decade ago. It's going to continue to burst in places where you keep asking for more money when people aren't making more money and when they keep realizing how much better the experience of watching football is at home than being at the game. It's going to burst. It's going to come. The more significant things to do, tell me how you're going to make the in-game experience better. Tell me if I pay more for my tickets, don't say, well, we're still making improvements, or we're going to have a better video screen, or we're going to have more animatronic birds flying around, whatever the F it is. Tell me about how you're going to have heated seats. Let's talk about things that will actually impact my experience at going to the game. Not the pomp and circumstance. Not we're going to bring out Cheap Trick to play a concert. Nothing against Cheap Trick. Nothing to say don't do that. It's to say, how are you going to start matching the home experience at the game? What are you going to do in order to make me more inclined? Because 20-year-olds will always go to games. 20-year-olds don't know that it's cold outside. But me, the guy that's, making money, doing well for myself and has money to spend, but realizes when I get to December, I don't want to go to the games anymore. For the most part, I've typically said, whatever, I'll just start giving the tickets to somebody else. But at some point, the more money you're asking for me, the more likely I am to decide that's not worth it any longer. How are you trying to meet me? What are you doing for that? And it's no knock on your augmented reality or whatever you want to call all of the things you do before the game. God bless you. Create a nice game day experience. But what are you doing when it's miserable outside? How are you telling me I should come to the game and I should spend my money that way when I know I can sit at home? That's the part that I want answers to. And as of right now, the answer has been video board. The answer has been we're going to upgrade the sound system, and all that's well and good. Like, nobody's saying don't do those things. Have a great video board, have a great sound system. But what about the misery of a December football game? Specifically, what are you doing about that? And for some of you, the answer is, tough up. Are you a fan or not? Man up. Because you don't realize how stupid you are.
Try and get me to go to that miserable Ravens-Steelers game in week 17, or week 18 this year.
Tyler Huntley is playing quarterback.
Huntley's playing, and
I'm sure that's something I want to do.
Ben Roethlisberger, who can't throw anymore, is on the field. Tell me that.
I'm sure that it makes me less of a man that I am choosing that I'm not going to spend 5 hours of my day doing that.
37 degrees and raining. Yeah, tell me to man up.
I'll pass.
If it's for the division,
pass.
okay. But
yeah, 100%. All right, very good. Let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you today by Live Casino and Hotel, of course. That's the place to be on Sunday for the big game. Live betting, of course, in-game. There is nothing quite like it. The atmosphere is insane. And you can win your share of $10,000 cash just by signing up for live rewards while you're at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. New Live Rewards members can also receive up to $20 in free play just by signing up. Sign up by March 31st, 2022, because the cash drawings are on April 1st. Live Casino and Hotel, the FanDuel Sportsbook, it is the place to be.
All right, this tidbit is Glenn-centric. We can call it Glentrick.
Oh.
Since you are
I like it.
a Phoenix Suns fan.
I
At
am a Phoenix
44
Suns
and
fan.
10, the Phoenix Suns.
They got the Bucks tonight. That's a biggie.
It is a big one. The Phoenix Suns hold the NBA's best record a season after losing to the Bucks in the NBA Finals
Thanks for the reminder.
season. The Suns have such a good record in part because of multiple long winning streaks. Their 18-game winning streak earlier this season was the 11th longest in league history. Their recent 12-game streak put them in some rare company as they are now the 30th team in NBA history to have multiple win streaks of at least 11 games.
If you're asking me who the other ones are, I'm going to guess the Warriors and the Bulls.
Well, surprisingly, only 13 of those other 29 teams went on to win the NBA championship.
The Warriors did not. I know that.
You are correct.
They lost. They had a 3-1 lead. They blew it.
Of those 29 teams, only 3 managed to put together a third such streak in the same season.
Zero chance.
And of those 3 teams, only one won the championship.
The Bulls that won 70 games.
No.
How would I never know this? How would I? I'm just gonna start naming teams. The Spurs.
No.
The Lakers.
The 99-2000 Lakers, they are the team that won the championship.
Okay. Is that it?
There's 2 more teams.
Oh,
There's
okay.
2 more teams.
Oh.
Is that it? Just one.
How would I know these? The Cavaliers.
No.
The Heat.
No.
The Rockets.
No.
This is terrible.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, the
Hey!
Rockets. 2017-18 Houston
I
Rockets.
didn't know that. The Mavericks.
The Dallas Mavericks. You got it back to back.
Sure.
The 06-07 Dallas Mavericks
Just guessing
also
teams,
did
man.
not win the
How
championship.
the F am I going to know that? Oh, that's the team that lost to the Heat, right? Wait, what year was it? 06-07?
Yes, the 06-07. They did not lose
They
to
didn't
the
lose
Heat.
That was the year before they lost to the Heat.
They beat the Heat the first year.
No, they lost to the Shaquille O'Neal Heat in the finals.
Oh, I thought you were talking
Then
about.
they beat the Heat
with
when LeBron James, but they lost to a Shaq Dwayne Wade Heat team in the finals. But I don't remember. I think that was 05-06, if I remember correctly.
That Heat team that with LeBron on it, they had it coming. Making fun of Dirk Nowitzki for being sick, and then he goes out and just torches
But they won.
The Mavericks won the first time that they played the Heat.
Oh, you mean with LeBron?
Yeah,
No,
I said the
right,
LeBron
with
team.
LeBron team, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Well, I mean, that was when we were all rooting openly against, because we were all still mad about LeBron.
decision.
You know, the way that he did it, as if there was something wrong with good players wanting to get together. Like
It was that he put on a whole NBA special.
I've never. You've never able to get me to be bothered about it specifically. Like, I was rooting against LeBron just sort of because it was the fun, hip thing to do, but I never actually cared about that. I've never cared about people that still are mad about Kevin Durant. Like, I'll never be mad about it. Like, players can go wherever they want to go. They can do whatever they want to do, and we judge players by winning championships. So why wouldn't they want to try to win championships? This is nonsense. Like, this nonsense where you're not allowed to go try to win championships. Nobody has ever been mad about Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce getting together in
They
Boston.
didn't put on a TV special to announce that they were going.
Kevin Durant didn't either. But yet everybody still hates Kevin Durant because he went to the Warriors. Nobody's mad about Ray Allen and Paul Pierce. Everybody's mad at Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant was a far superior player to them.
But this is the point. There's some sort of rule that we've come up with that there's no way to define it, to try to justify the fact that what Kevin Durant did was wrong, where it was fine for other superstar players to get together in a certain place. Somehow it was uniquely wrong for Kevin Durant, but it was okay for other players to want to be together on good teams. It's nonsense.
I'm not saying that it was wrong. If you want to go win a championship, go win a championship. But I feel like the difference is LeBron went to Miami and he said, "Hey, Bosh, come join me with D Wade." And Jordan had Pippen and like that. They came to him. Whereas with Durant, he went out west to join an already good team because he couldn't do it on his own. I think that's how people look at it. So they're kind of hating on him because you were the best player in the world. And
so is
you
it your
couldn't do
responsibility to try to make up for what your front office isn't capable of doing?
No,
this is why it's nonsense.
It's not. It is nonsense,
It's
but that's how
utter
people
and
view
complete
it.
Nonsense. If you want to say that, like, when you judge the greatest players of all time against each other, you think that somebody else was greater than Kevin Durant because Kevin Durant had better teams around him when he won championships, fine, I guess. But I don't know who you're talking about.
But it's also because of the fact that the Warriors were already so freaking good. And then he went there, and I think people were just already hating on the Warriors for being so freaking good, and now you're going to add Durant, so it was a mutual hate on both sides.
It's all such nonsense. All right, Tubular is brought to you today by the CIAA tournament, which, of course, is coming to Royal Farms Arena right here in Baltimore. See the excitement in person as some of the best college basketball in the country comes to Rofo Arena with the CIAA men's and women's conference tournaments, February 22nd through 26th. Get your tickets now, CIAAtournament.org. That's CIAA tournament.org. Busy evening, a lot going on at Totally Tubular-wise, including, as I mentioned earlier, Maryland basketball in action. They take on Iowa, 7 o'clock on ESPN2. Towson's got a national TV game at 5 o'clock against CBS or on CBS Sports Network against William and Mary. Mount St. Mary's is on national TV at 5 o'clock as well as they take on Wagner on ESPNU. The only other Big Ten hoops tonight, Purdue and Michigan at 9 on ESPN. Purdue's very good. The rest of college basketball find at glennclarkradio.com. NBC Sports Washington Capitals Canadiens at 7 o'clock. TNT Nets Wizards at 7:30, and then the big Bucks Suns matchup tonight at 10.
NBC Olympics coverage. It includes the women's hockey quarterfinals, the USA, and apparently the Czech Republic now goes by Czechia. It's something that nobody told me about.
Czechia.
I saw that was who they were playing.
Czechia.
I'm not kidding. I was like, what the F is Czechia? Like, how did they get into the Olympics? And then I did some
Sponsored by
research.
Chia Pets.
Found out it's the same thing. No, it's just it's spelled the same way. CZECHIA. Czechia. And that's apparently what the Czech Republic goes by now. Mama called him Cassius. I'm going to call him Cassius. I'm calling him the Czech Republic. That's the way it's going to go. That's tonight at 11 on the USA Network. Some curling tonight as well. The USA and Great Britain and men's curling on CNBC at 8. Golf Channel, round 1 of the PGA's Phoenix Open at 3 o'clock. Tonight, the NFL Honors Show at 9 o'clock on ABC and NFL Network. We'll learn about the Hall of Fame class, MVP, all of those things. I can't fathom watching it, but Twitter will let me know about who wins all of those awards. WWE Network for NXT UK at 3, and Access TV for Impact Wrestling at 8. Some non-sports highlights.
The Jeopardy National College Championship continues tonight on ABC at 8 o'clock. Arnold Schwarzenegger's on Jimmy Kimmel tonight at 11:35. Jersey Shore Family Vacation on MTV at 8 o'clock. And on Hulu, To Catch a Smuggler Season 3 premiere. Plus, a new episode is airing now, is streaming now on HBO Max of The Peacemaker.
All right. Ooh, I do enjoy The Peacemaker. Very good. Thanks today to Steve Lappas. Thanks also to Chig Okonkwo. And thanks as well to, which one do you think I haven't done?
Toyota.
I've done it. Thanks as well. I did it early. Thanks as well to Ken Zalis. We'll get all that up in the greatest hits section of the
Archives
tab at glennclarkradio.com. On the program tomorrow, as we mentioned, Friends alum, Missouri running back Tyler Beatty, one of the top running backs in this year's NFL draft, is going to check in with us. Also, speaking of the draft, we will do our weekly draft segment. Tony Pauline from Pro Football Network will check in, and, of course, Stuff and Things. Thanks, everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, Glory Days Grill, Royal Farms, CIAA Tournament, Great 8's Memorabilia, Live Casino Hotel, Underdog Fantasy Football, Blue Line K9, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Paul Valley. Follow him on Twitter, at Paul Valley III. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Thursday evening. Go Maryland, go Towson, go Mount St. Mary's, go U.S. Women's Hockey. Duke sucks. Ohio State sucks too.